The chart smelled of smoke even now, though it had been weeks since Oberyn Martell had bought it from the hands of a dying man. It had come folded in oilcloth and bound with a ribbon of black silk. When Oberyn Martell first opened it, ash had drifted from the creases as if the paper still remembered fire. Prince Dorne Martell studied it the way he studied everything. Slowly, as if time itself were an ally he could enlist. The Prince of Dorne did not touch the map. His fingers rested lightly on the arms of his chair, knuckles pale, nails clean and trimmed. His gaze was steady, but Oberyn Martell knew his brother well enough to read the flicker beneath it. Dread, carefully chained. "Old Valyria," Prince Dorne Martell said at last, his voice quiet in the heat. The words did not echo, but the room seemed to shrink around them. "You say it as if it is a vineyard you intend to visit." Oberyn Martell smiled, and it was the smile that had melted maidens' resolve and made killers uneasy. "It is not a vineyard. It is a grave. Graves can be robbed." Princess Arianne Martell pushed off the archway and came closer, her bracelets chiming softly. "Graves are robbed by men who do not mind dying." Oberyn Martell's eyes warmed as they touched Princess Arianne Martell's face. "Ah, yes. You think I mind?" Ilaria Sand crossed the room and set her hand on the table, not touching the chart, but claiming the space around it. Her voice was gentle, which made it all the sharper. "You mind. You simply refuse to admit it." Oberyn Martell turned his palm up, as if offering his life like a coin. "If ed, the world will not stop." Prince Dorne Martell's lips thinned. "And if you live, what then? You return with... What is it you think you will return with? A legend? A curse? Stone men's rot?" He paused. "Or dragons?" The word hung there, obscene and intoxicating. Oberyn Martell's fingers slid over the charred edge of the chart, stopping where the ink had bled into a dark bruise. "Not dragons. Not yet. Eggs." Princess Arianne Martell made a small sound, half scoff and half prayer. "Eggs do not hatch for just anyone." "True," Oberyn Martell said, "but they hatch for someone." Prince Dorne Martell's gaze sharpened. "And you believe that someone is you." Oberyn Martell leaned forward. "I believe that the world is changing, brother. It does not ask our leave. It changes anyway." He tapped the map where the smoking sea was sketched in crude, frightened lines. "In the east there are whispers. A girl with silver hair, a colosar at her back, dead dragons reborn." Oberyn Martell's eyes glittered. "If dragons have returned to the world, then it is no longer madness to seek what the dragon lords once hoarded." Prince Dorne Martell's hand tightened on the arm of his chair. "Whispers are wind. So is fire before it becomes a blaze." Oberyn Martell's voice softened, almost coaxing. "You have waited. You have weighed every step as if the stones themselves might judge you. I do not mock it. I admire it." He tilted his head. "But what did waiting win Elia Martell?" Silence snapped into place like a blade. Ilaria Sand's fingers curled slightly against the wood. Princess Arianne Martell went still, her eyes darkening. Prince Dorne Martell did not flinch, but the muscles in his jaw worked once, as if he had bitten down on something bitter. "Do not," Prince Dorne Martell said. Not loud, not angry, worse, controlled. Oberyn Martell's smile faded to something leaner. "I will not speak her name as a weapon against you," he said, and for a heartbeat his voice was raw. "I speak it because she is why I cannot bear to sit with my hands folded while lions fatten themselves on our patience." Prince Dorne Martell's gaze went to the sea beyond the curtains, as if he could see across all the leagues to King's Landing and the red walls that had swallowed his sister. "And you believe dragon eggs are the answer to grief?" Oberyn Martell's eyes met his. "I believe dragon eggs are the answer to power." Princess Arianne Martell's mouth twisted. "Power does not guarantee justice." "No," Oberyn Martell agreed. "But weakness guarantees humiliation." Prince Dorne Martell exhaled slowly. "You will bring war to Dorne." Oberyn Martell straightened. "War will come whether we invite it or not. I would rather greet it with teeth." Ilaria Sand's grip tightened. "If you go," Ilaria Sand said, You do not go alone. Oberyn Martell glanced down at her fingers. I never do. Prince Dorne Martell's voice grew softer, and that frightened Oberyn Martell more than anger. You are my brother. I have already lost too much. He looked up. Do not make me lose you to a folly with ash in its veins. Oberyn Martell's gaze did not waver. It is not folly if it succeeds. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes narrowed. And if it does not? Oberyn Martell's smile returned, small and sharp. Then at least I will have died reaching for something larger than fear. Princess Oberyn Martell stepped closer, her skirts whispering. If you take this path, Princess Oberyn Martell said, take something with you more valuable than bravado. Oberyn Martell lifted his brows. Advice? From you? I am honored. Princess Oberyn Martell ignored him. Take secrecy. Take speed. Take men who can keep their mouths shut and their hands steady. She looked at Prince Dorne Martell, then back to Oberyn Martell. Take a reason to come back. Valyria Sand's grip tightened. You already have one. For a moment, Oberyn Martell let the heat and the salt air and the weight of their faces press on him. He could feel Prince Dorne Martell's reluctance like a hand at his collar. He could feel Princess Oberyn Martell's fierce curiosity, already imagining the stories she would tell herself if this worked. He could feel Valyria Sand's fear, quiet, unspoken, refusing to become a chain. He turned the chart so it faced Prince Dorne Martell fully. I am not asking your leave, Oberyn Martell said. I am telling you what I will do. You may stop me if you can. Prince Dorne Martell's gaze lingered on the blackened lines, on the little sketch of a tower drawn like a child's nightmare, on the smear of ink that marked the smoking sea. I cannot stop you, Prince Dorne Martell said, and there was a weary truth in it. But I can tell you what you risk. Oberyn Martell leaned in. Tell me. Prince Dorne Martell's voice was almost a whisper. If you return with dragon eggs, every eye in the world will turn to Dorne. Every hand that reaches for a crown will reach for you, and the first knife will come from someone smiling. Oberyn Martell's grin flashed. Let them come smiling. It will make it easier to see their teeth. Valyria Sand's eyes closed briefly, as if praying to gods she did not trust. Princess Oberyn Martell's gaze burned, hungry for danger and for the kind of future that did not kneel to lions. Prince Dorne Martell looked at Oberyn Martell for a long time. Then, with a motion as careful as a man setting down a glass that might shatter, he lifted his cup and drank. I will not help you, Prince Dorne Martell said. I cannot. Oberyn Martell's smile widened. I did not ask you to. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes sharpened again. But I will not betray you either. Oberyn Martell's expression softened, briefly, like a flame cupped against wind. That, he said, is enough. He gathered the chart, folded it as if it were nothing more than a merchant's ledger, and tucked it inside his coat. Valyria Sand followed his movements with the gaze of someone watching a man walk toward a cliff and daring herself not to flinch. Princess Oberyn Martell caught Oberyn Martell's sleeve as he passed. Bring me a story worth the fear, Princess Oberyn Martell murmured. Oberyn Martell bent and kissed Princess Oberyn Martell's forehead, light as a blessing and just as dangerous. I will bring you the truth, Oberyn Martell said. Stories can be made after. Prince Dorne Martell watched him go, his face unreadable. When Oberyn Martell reached the door, Prince Dorne Martell spoke again. Oberyn Martell. Oberyn Martell paused. Prince Dorne Martell's voice was very calm. If you find what you seek, remember that dragons were never gentle masters. Oberyn Martell's smile did not fade. Neither are lions. He left the solar, and the heat swallowed the sound of the door. Planky Town stank of river mud and fish guts and sweat baked in sun. Oberyn Martell loved it. Here, the Royne's old blood still whispered under the planks, in the way men spat and laughed and traded curses with their coins. Here, a prince's name bought him nothing he did not already know how to take. Here, danger wore a dozen faces and none of them pretended to be polite. Oberyn Martell moved through the crowd like a blade through silk. Men stepped aside without thinking why. Women watched with the careful interest of those who knew how quickly beauty could become trouble. Children stared openly, unburdened by caution, until their mothers tugged them back with muttered warnings. Ilaria Sand kept pace a half-step behind him, her cloak drawn close despite the heat. Oberyn Martell could feel her gaze on the side of his face, the way a hand might hover near a wound. She did not ask him again not to go. She had said what she meant in the solar. Now she watched him prepare himself for death, as if she might memorize him in case he became a ghost. At a stall where a man sold rope and lies in equal measure, Oberyn Martell stopped. The seller looked up, eyes squinting against the light. His beard was gray at the edges. His fingers were stained with tar. He saw Oberyn Martell's rings and the cut of his coat and tried to decide whether this was a chance or a calamity. Oberyn Martell smiled. "I need a ship." The man laughed nervously. "Then buy one, my prince." "I intend to," Oberyn Martell said, "but I do not intend to buy it from you." The man's laugh died. "Then why?" Oberyn Martell leaned in, and his voice dropped like a coin into water. "Because you know who sells ships that do not ask questions." The man's eyes darted, left and right. He licked his lips. "Questions keep a man alive." "So does silence," Oberyn Martell said. "Tell me, and I will pay you enough to forget your own name." Ilaria Sand's fingers brushed Oberyn Martell's sleeve. A warning. Planky Town was full of men who would kill for less than the promise of forgetting. Oberyn Martell held the rope seller's gaze until the man's shoulders sagged. He pointed with his chin toward a narrow passage between stalls, where the boards creaked and the air smelled of rot. "Down there," the man muttered. "A man named Caro. He deals in what should not be dealt in." "Perfect," Oberyn Martell said, and tossed a silver stag onto the stall. "For your trouble." He turned away before the man could protest or thank him. In Planky Town, gratitude was as dangerous as envy. The passage narrowed, shadows gathering between sunlit boards. It led to a low warehouse whose door hung crooked on one hinge. Two men stood outside, pretending they were simply resting. Their knives were not pretending. Oberyn Martell approached. "I am looking for Caro." One of the men spat. "Caro does not see princes." "I am not here as a prince," Oberyn Martell said. "I am here as a man with coin and an appetite for risk." The second man's eyes flicked over him, lingering on the spearhead ring. "Risk has teeth." Oberyn Martell smiled wider. "So do I." Before the men could decide whether to be offended, a voice came from within. "Let him in." They stepped aside. Oberyn Martell entered, Ilaria Sand close behind. Inside, the warehouse was cooler, smelling of old salt and damp wood. Crates were stacked like crude towers. A lantern burned on a hook, its flame steady in the still air. Caro sat on a crate as if it were a throne, his legs spread, his hands folded over his belly. He was fat in the way of men who ate well but never moved quickly. His eyes, however, were quick, dark and sharp, missing nothing. "Prince Oberyn Martell," Caro said, savoring the name like wine. "What brings Dorne's famous viper into my poor den?" "A ship," Oberyn Martell said. Caro chuckled. "Ships are everywhere." "Not the ship I want," Oberyn Martell said. "I want a ship that can sail far, fast, and quietly. A ship that can vanish and return without bringing the world behind it." Caro's smile thinned. "That sounds expensive." Oberyn Martell reached into his coat and pulled out a small pouch. He loosened the drawstring just enough for a gleam of gold to spill out. Sunlight trapped in metal. Caro's eyes widened slightly. "That is a start." "It is not the start," Oberyn Martell said. "It is a taste." Ilaria Sand watched Caro with the expression of a woman listening to a snake's hiss and judging its distance. Caro leaned forward. "Where do you intend to go, Prince Oberyn Martell?" Oberyn Martell's voice was mild. "East." Caro's smile returned, nervous now. "East is large." Oberyn Martell's eyes were bright as a blade. "The smoking sea." For a moment, even the lantern seemed to flicker. Caro's hands tightened on his belly.
No.
Oberyn Martell's smile did not move. Yes. Caro shook his head quickly, as if to dislodge the word. No ship sails there and returns. Not whole. Not sane. I am not asking for sane, Oberyn Martell said. I am asking for possible. Caro swallowed. Curses live in those waters. Then I will bring poison, Oberyn Martell said. And prayers, if you insist. Caro's gaze slid to Ilaria Sand. Is the lovely lady your conscience? Ilaria Sand's lips curved without humor. No, Ilaria Sand said. I am his anchor. Caro's laugh was short. Anchors drown men. Only if they cannot swim, Oberyn Martell said. Caro stared at him for a long time. Then he sighed, the sound of a man surrendering to temptation. There is a ship, Caro said. A lean thing. Fast. It once ran spice for Volantis, until Volantis decided it did not belong to them anymore. Its captain is dead, and its crew scattered. Good, Oberyn Martell said. A ship without loyalties. Caro's eyes narrowed. It will cost you more than gold. Oberyn Martell tilted his head. Name it. Caro hesitated, then said, a promise. Oberyn Martell laughed softly. Promises are cheap, Car.
O.S. gaze sharpened.
Not this one. If you return, if by some madness you return, you will sell me whatever you bring back. First choice. Before you show it to your prince brother. Before you whisper it to your lovers. Before you let your niece make a song of it. Ilaria Sand's eyes hardened.
No.
Oberyn Martell held up a hand, stilling her. He studied Caro with open amusement. And if I bring back nothing but scars? Caro's mouth twisted. Then I lose nothing. I give you a ship to sail to your death. A fair bargain. Oberyn Martell leaned in until Caro could smell the spice of his cologne and the steel beneath it. If I return, Oberyn Martell said softly, and you try to take what is mine by force, I will feed your tongue to the crabs, Caro. Caro's laugh came out thin. Threats from princes. A promise from a man, Oberyn Martell corrected. For a heartbeat, the warehouse held its breath. Then Caro nodded once. Agreed. Oberyn Martell straightened. Show me. As they left, Ilaria Sand's voice brushed Oberyn Martell's ear. You traded a promise to a vulture. Oberyn Martell's grin flashed. Vultures are useful, Oberyn Martell murmured. They clean up what is already dead. And if it isn't dead? Ilaria Sand asked. Oberyn Martell's eyes gleamed. Then we will see who eats whom. The ship was beautiful in the way of a weapon. It was not large, but it was lean, its lines sharp, its hull dark and freshly tarred. The oars were long and well kept. The mast rose like a spear. Whoever had built it had done so with one thought: speed. Caro called it the Sand Wraith, and Oberyn Martell approved. A wraith was not bound by walls. They cast off as the sun bled into the river. The boards of Planky Town groaned under the shift of weight. The river slapped the hull as if trying to pull it back. The crew moved with the cautious competence of men who had chosen coin over certainty. Oberyn Martell stood at the stern, watching the lights of Planky Town recede. He did not wave. He did not look back at the water gardens or Sunspear or Prince Dorne Martell's careful eyes. He had said his truth. Now he lived it. Ilaria Sand came to stand beside him, her hand resting on the rail. You chose a bad ship name, Ilaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell glanced at her. Bad. A wraith does not return, Ilaria Sand replied. Oberyn Martell's smile was quick. Then we will be the first. The Cohoric sellsword, Vargo, he called himself, though Oberyn Martell suspected it was not his first name, walked the deck with the heavy step of a man who expected violence to spring from the boards. His armor drank torchlight. He carried an axe with a nicked blade, as if it had bitten bone and wanted more. The maester, Marwyn, no, not that Marwyn. This one was called Maester Oren, cast out by his chain for asking questions that smelled of fire, sat near the mast with his satchel clutched to his chest. His eyes darted constantly, as if words might leap from the dark and attack him. The Roynish navigator, a man named Nymer Waters, leaned over the starboard side and watched the river's surface as though it might speak. His forearms were tattooed with flowing lines and stylized waves, old Rhoynish marks that had survived conquest. He touched the water briefly, wetting his fingertips, and then touched his forehead in a quick, private gesture. Oberyn Martell had chosen them for their flaws as much as their strengths. Men with clean histories had clean loyalties. He needed men whose loyalties could be purchased, whose shame made them discreet. The first nights were easy. The river widened, then surrendered to the sea. Wind filled the sail, snapping it taut. The coast of Dorne dwindled to a line of shadow. Oberyn Martell spent the days learning the ship's rhythm. He moved among the crew, speaking with the ease of a man who had slept in more taverns than palaces. He listened more than he spoke. He watched hands. Which ones trembled, which ones were steady. He watched eyes. Which ones drifted toward the horizon as if already regretting their choice. At night, he sat with Maester Oberyn and forced the man to speak. "What do you know of Valyria?" Oberyn Martell asked. One evening, as the sea rolled black beneath a moon like a thin coin, Maester Oberyn's throat bobbed. "Too much," Maester Oberyn whispered. "Enough to know we should not go." Oberyn Martell poured wine into a tin cup and pushed it toward him. "We are going anyway. Tell me what might kill us first." Maester Oberyn stared at the wine as if it might be poison. Then he drank, desperate, and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "The smoking sea is not a place," Maester Oberyn said. "It is a wound. The doom did not end. Continues. The ground moves. The air burns. The water boils in places. There are creatures." "Creatures," Oberyn Martell repeated, amused. Maester Oberyn's eyes flashed, fear sharpening into anger. "Not animals. Not men. Things made wrong by fire and sorcery. Stories made flesh. If you do not believe me, Prince Oberyn Martell, then at least pretend you do, because disbelief will not protect you." Oberyn Martell's smile faded slightly. "Good," Oberyn Martell said. "Fear keeps a man alert." Maester Oberyn laughed, a brittle sound. "Fear keeps a man alive," Maester Oberyn corrected. "Until it does not." Nymer waters joined them, settling onto a coil of rope. "Old Valyria," Nymer waters murmured as if tasting the words. "My grandmother sang a song about it." The river ran red and the dragons screamed. Oberyn Martell lifted his cup. "Did the song say where the treasure was kept?" Nymer Water's mouth twisted. "The song said it was kept in the bones." Oberyn Martell drank. Days turned into weeks. The weather changed. The air grew heavier, as if the sea itself exhaled something warm. Seabirds became scarce. The horizon seemed to shimmer at odd angles, like heat over sand, though there was no sun. On the morning they crossed into waters no sane sailor marked on a map. The wind died. The sail sagged. The oars dipped, pulling them forward with rhythmic splashes. The sea was too calm. It lay flat and dark, reflecting the sky like glass. Vargo the Cohoric Sellsword muttered a prayer in a language Oberyn Martell did not know. Ilaria Sand stood beside Oberyn Martell at the rail, her cloak pulled tight. "Do you feel it?" Ilaria Sand asked. Oberyn Martell inhaled. The air smelled faintly of sulfur, like a struck match. "Yes," Oberyn Martell said. "The world ahead is angry." Maester Oberyn clutched his satchel harder. "Turn back," Maester Oberyn whispered. Oberyn Martell looked toward the blank horizon. "Not yet," Oberyn Martell said. The sea remained still as a held breath. Then, far off, a smear of gray appeared in the air, mist or smoke or something between. It spread as they rowed closer, a curtain drawn across the world. Nymer Waters whispered, "The smoking sea." Oberyn Martell's pulse quickened, not with fear but with anticipation. He had always been drawn to forbidden doors. The world changed in a handful of strokes. One moment the sea was merely calm. The next it turned oily, its surface gleaming strangely, reflecting no stars even at night. The air thickened until each breath felt like drawing smoke into the lungs. Heat rose from the water in unseen currents, curling around their faces. Ash began to fall, fine and black, drifting down lazily as if the sky were burning somewhere out of sight. The crew fell silent. Even the men who had joked about curses now moved with wary, restrained gestures, as if loud sounds might awaken something. Oberyn Martell wrapped a cloth over his mouth and nose. Valyria Sand did the same, her eyes narrowed against the stinging grit. The ash collected on the rail, in the folds of their clothes, in the seams of the deck. It made the ship look older, haunted. Maester Oberyn held a lantern high, but the flame inside it shivered as if cold, though sweat slicked his temples. "The air is wrong," Maester Oberyn said hoarsely. "It steals fire. Then we will steal it back," Oberyn Martell replied, though his voice was muffled by cloth. The mist ahead was not mist. It was smoke, rolling in thick waves. Within it, pale flashes of light flared. Lightning, perhaps, but soundless, as if the air swallowed thunder the way it swallowed flame. They rowed forward. The oars dipped into water that felt warmer with every stroke, and the men cursed softly as sweat poured down their arms. Shapes began to emerge from the smoke. Jagged rocks, black and slick, rising like broken teeth from the sea. Between them, channels of water steamed faintly. In places the surface bubbled, releasing bursts of heat that smelled of rotten eggs and metal. Nymer Waters leaned over the side and dipped a finger into the water. He hissed and jerked back, sucking at a blister. "Hot," Nymer Waters muttered. "Hot as the bathhouses." Vargo the Cohoric Sellsword spat into the sea. The spittle vanished with a faint hiss. Valyria Sand's voice was low. "This is madness." Oberyn Martell's eyes glittered. "It is truth," Oberyn Martell said. "The world is not as safe as men pretend." Ahead, the smoke thinned just enough to reveal a low silhouette on the horizon. A dark smear that grew into a line of cliffs. Land. Old Valyria. It was not lush or welcoming. It rose from the smoking sea like a scar. Black rock and jagged stone. Steep and uneven. The air above it shimmered faintly, heat bending the world. As they approached, the smell changed. Sulfur deepened into something sharper. Burnt stone, burnt flesh, the ghost of ancient fire. Maester Oberyn began to whisper a prayer to the Seven, then stopped, as if realizing how foolish it sounded here. Oberyn Martell felt the hairs on his arms lift. Not from cold, from something else. A sense of being watched. He scanned the cliffs. At first he saw nothing but black rock and patches of pale ash. Then his eyes caught it. A shape half buried in stone near the shoreline. Something that might have been a statue once. A man, perhaps, carved in Valyrian style. Proud posture, fine features, except the stone had melted. The face was warped. The eyes were fused shut. The mouth was stretched as if in silent screaming. Another statue lay nearby, the stone twisted into a grotesque curve, as if it had tried to crawl away while turning into rock. Valyria Sand followed Oberyn Martell's gaze. Her eyes widened, and she did not speak. They found a narrow inlet where the rocks formed a crude shelter. The water steamed gently. The ship's hull creaked as they guided it in, careful not to scrape against the jagged stone. When the sand wraith finally bumped against rock and settled, the crew hesitated. No one wanted to be the first to step onto Valyrian shore. Oberyn Martell was. He jumped down onto the black stone, boots landing with a dull thud. The rock beneath his feet felt warm, like sun-baked sand, though the sky above was a smear of gray. He looked back at the men on the ship. "We go quickly," Oberyn Martell said. "We take what we came for. We leave." Vargo grunted and followed, axe in hand. Nymer Waters came next, moving like a man walking into a story he did not trust. Maester Oberyn climbed down last, clutching his satchel like a child clinging to a blanket. Valyria Sand stepped onto the rock and stood beside Oberyn Martell. Her eyes were hard now, her fear sharpened into resolve. "I am here," Valyria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's gaze softened for a heartbeat. "I know." They moved inland, leaving the ship behind. The smoke swallowed it quickly. as if eager to erase evidence that anyone had ever come here. The ground rose in uneven slopes. Ash drifted around their boots. The air was heavy and hot, and each breath tasted faintly of iron. In places, the stone was cracked, and thin wisps of steam curled up from the fissures. They passed more statues, what remained of them. Some were half melted, their forms distorted. Others were shattered, as if struck by some invisible hammer. Here and there, black glass gleamed under the ash, obsidian formed by unimaginable heat. Maester Oberyn's voice shook. "The doom," Maester Oberyn whispered. "It did not kill them quickly." Oberyn Martell did not answer. He was listening, not with his ears alone, with his skin, with his instincts. The air felt charged, as if it remembered sorcery. A faint sound reached them, soft, like stone grinding against stone. Vargo lifted his axe. "What was that?" Nymer Water's eyes darted. "Wind." "There is no wind," Ilaria Sand murmured. The grinding sound came again, closer. Oberyn Martell's hand slid to the dagger at his belt. "Move," Oberyn Martell said quietly. They moved faster, climbing toward a break in the cliffs where Maester Oberyn's translated notes said there had once been a road. Behind them, in the smoke, something shifted, slow, heavy, patient. Oberyn Martell did not look back. Not yet. What had once been a city lay beneath their feet, but it was not the kind of ruin Oberyn Martell had seen in the Free Cities, where broken walls still held the shape of pride. This was a ruin that had been undone by forces too large for human hands. The street they found was paved with stone that had melted and cooled into a glassy black. It reflected their feet in warped fragments. The buildings on either side were half collapsed, their arches fused into strange curves, their columns bent as if softened by heat and then frozen mid-sag. In places, carvings still clung to the stone. Dragons entwined, faces of men and women with high Valyrian cheekbones, except the features were blurred, as if the fire had tried to erase them. Maester Oberyn stopped at a wall where glyphs had been carved deep enough to survive. He brushed ash away with trembling fingers, revealing lines of Valyrian script. Oberyn Martell leaned in. "Read it," Maester Oberyn swallowed. "It is fragmented," Maester Oberyn said. "But," his voice caught, "it speaks of binding." Ilaria Sand's eyes narrowed. "Binding what?" Maester Oberyn's gaze flicked up, fearful. "Dragons," Vargo snorted. "Men bind beasts with chains." "These were not chains," Maester Oberyn whispered. "These were words. Blood. Fire." Oberyn Martell's mouth curved slightly. "Words can be stronger than chains," Oberyn Martell said. "I have seen it." They moved on. The farther they went, the more the city seemed to resist them. The air grew hotter in pockets, rising in sudden waves that made their skin prickle. The ground underfoot was uneven, cracked by time and by the earth's restless anger. They came to a plaza where a dragon statue had once reared above the stones. Now it lay on its side, shattered, its head broken off and lost. One wing had melted into the ground, fused to the glassy street. Ilaria Sand stared at it. "They loved dragons enough to carve them in stone," Ilaria Sand said. "And still they died." Oberyn Martell's gaze lingered on the dragon's broken claw. The stone talons twisted. "Love is not protection," Oberyn Martell murmured. A sound came from somewhere nearby, a wet, scraping noise, like something dragging itself over stone. Vargo spun, axe raised. "There!" Vargo barked. In the shadow of a half-collapsed archway, something moved. Oberyn Martell's breath tightened. He had expected danger, but expectation did not soften the jolt of seeing the unknown. A figure emerged, humanoid but wrong. Its skin was gray and cracked, like stone that had been left too long in sun. Its face was half hidden under a hood of filthy cloth. When it lifted its head, its eyes were milky, unfocused, yet somehow fixed on them. Stone men. Oberyn Martell had heard of them in tales and rumors. Men afflicted by grayscale, some said, wandering near Valyria like damned souls. This one made a sound that might have been a groan. Maester Oberyn stumbled backward, nearly dropping his parchment. "Do not let it touch you," Maester Oberyn hissed. Vargo stepped forward, axe swinging. The stone man moved faster than it should have, darting to the side with a jerky grace. Vargo's axe struck the archway instead, biting into softened stone. Oberyn Martell's dagger was in his hand. He did not rush in. He watched. He waited for the right moment, the way he always did. The stone man lunged toward Maester Oberyn. Ellaria Sand moved first. She grabbed Maester Oberyn's arm and yanked him back, her strength surprising in her slim frame. The stone man's cracked fingers swiped through empty air. Oberyn Martell stepped in, swift as a striking viper. His dagger flashed, slicing across the stone man's forearm. Not deep, but enough to sever tendons. The limb hung uselessly. The stone man made a sound like gravel poured into a bucket. Vargo recovered and swung again, this time catching the creature at the neck. The axe bit. The head did not fall cleanly. It hung for a moment, connected by stringy flesh and cracked skin. Vargo cursed and wrenched the blade free, stepping back as the stone man crumpled. Maester Oberyn retched, the sound muffled by his cloth. "It's not dead," Maester Oberyn whispered, horrified. "It's not." The stone man twitched, fingers scratching at the glassy stone. Oberyn Martell's eyes narrowed. He reached into a pouch at his belt and drew out a small vial, clear liquid, faintly oily. Poison. Not for men like these, perhaps, but he would try. He splashed it over the creature's face and broken throat. The stone man convulsed. A hiss rose, faint but distinct, as if the poison reacted with something in the creature's blood. The twitching slowed, then stopped. Vargo wiped sweat and ash from his brow with a gloved hand. "That was a man," Vargo muttered. Maester Oberyn shook his head, eyes wide with terror. "It was a warning," Maester Oberyn whispered. Oberyn Martell looked around the plaza. More shadows gathered in doorways, not moving yet, watching. Ellaria Sand's voice was tight. "How many are there?" Oberyn Martell's smile was thin. "Enough," Oberyn Martell said. He glanced at Maester Oberyn. "Do you know where the vault is?" Maester Oberyn's hands shook as he clutched his parchment. "Yes," Maester Oberyn whispered. Your chart matches what is here. The manse should be this way." Oberyn Martell sheathed his dagger. "Then we do not linger." They moved quickly, leaving the plaza behind. The ash fell steadily, coating the dead stone man as if trying to hide what had happened. Behind them, in the shadows, another figure shifted, and another. The manse looked like a beast that had tried to crawl out of the earth and failed. Black rock had swallowed half of it. What remained rose in twisted grandeur. A wide archway, cracked but standing. Pillars fused into strange angles. A courtyard filled with broken stone and glass. The roof had collapsed, leaving jagged openings where ash drifted through like slow rain. Maester Oberyn lifted his lantern, and its light seemed small and fragile in the mouth of the ruin. "This," Maester Oberyn whispered, voice trembling with a scholar's awe and a coward's terror, "was noble property. A dragon lord's house." Oberyn Martell stepped over a chunk of melted stone. The air here felt different, heavier, as if pressing down on his shoulders. His skin tingled. His teeth ached faintly, like the pressure before a storm. Ellaria Sand stayed close, her hand hovering near the knife at her belt. "Do you feel that?" Ellaria Sand asked. Oberyn Martell nodded. "Yes," Oberyn Martell murmured. "Something is awake." Vargo stood at the archway, looking back toward the street. "We should not stay long," Vargo growled. "The stone men follow." Maester Oberyn flinched at the word, as if it were a curse. "The vault?" Maester Oberyn said, forcing himself to focus. He unrolled his parchment, hands shaking. "It should be beneath, hidden. A stair." He stopped, lantern light catching on a depression in the floor, an outline, almost invisible under ash. A trapdoor, perhaps, or a hatch fused shut. Oberyn Martell crouched and brushed ash aside with gloved fingers. The outline revealed itself. A circular seam in the stone, with Valyrian glyphs carved around it. The carvings were deep, the edges softened by heat but still legible. Maester Oberyn leaned in, eyes bright despite his fear. "It is a lock," Maester Oberyn whispered, "but there is no keyhole." Oberyn Martell traced the glyphs. "What does it say?" Maester Oberyn swallowed. "A command," Maester Oberyn said. "And a warning." Oberyn Martell's eyes lifted. "Speak it." Maester Oberyn's voice shook. "It says, blood wakes stone, fire wakes blood, and beneath that, bind not what was unbound." Ellaria Sand's gaze hardened. "That sounds like a lesson learned too late." Oberyn Martell's smile was sharp. "Or a lesson we will ignore," Oberyn Martell said. Maester Oberyn's face went pale. "Prince Oberyn Martell." Oberyn Martell took off his glove and drew his dagger. The blade was clean and narrow. Ellaria Sand's hand caught his wrist. "Do not," Ellaria Sand said, voice low. Oberyn Martell met her eyes. There was affection there, and stubbornness, and something darker. An appetite for the forbidden. "I must," Oberyn Martell said softly. Ellaria Sand's grip tightened, then released. She exhaled slowly, as if letting him go in her mind first. Oberyn Martell cut his palm. Blood welled bright and red, shockingly vivid against the black stone. He pressed his hand against the glyphs. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the carvings warmed beneath his skin. Maester Oberyn gasped. The lantern flame flickered. A faint sound rose. Stone shifting, grinding, like a door in the earth trying to remember how to open. The circular seam glowed faintly, not with light but with heat. Oberyn Martell could feel it seeping into his palm, warmth that deepened into something almost painful. Ellaria Sand leaned close. "Oberyn Martell," Ellaria Sand whispered. "Your hand." Oberyn Martell ignored the sting. He pressed harder. The stone circle shuddered, then sank a finger's width, releasing a breath of air from below, hot, stale, smelling of old smoke and metal. The lantern flame guttered, then steadied. Maester Oberyn's voice was ragged. "It worked," Maester Oberyn whispered. Awe and terror braided together. Oberyn Martell lifted his hand. Blood smeared the glyphs, and the stone seemed to drink it. The circle continued to sink, slowly, until it was flush with the floor. Then it slid aside, revealing a stair spiraling down into darkness. Heat rose from the opening in a steady wave. Vargo stepped closer, axe raised, peering down. "It smells like a forge," Vargo muttered. "It smells like a tomb," Ellaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell wiped his bleeding palm on his coat, staining the red fabric darker. He smiled. "Sometimes," Oberyn Martell said, "they are the same." Maester Oberyn hesitated at the edge. "We should mark our path," Maester Oberyn whispered, "so we can return." Oberyn Martell glanced back at the archway. Smoke pressed against it like a living thing. In the distance, faint scraping sounds drifted closer. "We will remember," Oberyn Martell said. "Move." He descended first, boots ringing softly on stone steps. Ellaria Sand followed, then Maester Oberyn clutching his lantern, then Vargo last, stepping backward for a moment to watch the entrance before turning and dropping into the dark. As the last of them disappeared, ash drifted into the opening like black petals. Above, somewhere in the smoke, something made a low sound, almost a sigh. The stair went down longer than Oberyn Martell expected. The air grew hotter, but it was a dry heat like standing too close to a kiln. The stone steps were smooth underfoot, worn by hands and feet that had walked here centuries ago. Dragon lords and their servants, men who had believed the world belonged to them by right of fire. Maester Oberyn's lantern cast trembling light on the walls. The stone was not rough. It was polished, dark, almost glassy. Here and there, Valyrian glyphs were carved into it, curves and lines that seemed to shift when Oberyn Martell tried to focus on them, as if the symbols were alive. Ellaria Sand's breath sounded too loud. Vargo's armor creaked with each step. Nymer Waters was not with them. Oberyn Martell had left him above with 2 sailors to guard the entrance and the ship. a thin hope against whatever waited in the smoke. At last, the stair opened into a chamber. It was larger than Oberyn Martell expected. An underground vault whose walls were obsidian black and so smooth they reflected the lantern light like dark water. The ceiling arched overhead, carved with dragons that spiraled around each other, their bodies sleek and cruel. The carvings were so detailed Oberyn Martell could almost imagine them moving. In the center of the chamber stood a low pedestal of black stone. Upon it rested 3 eggs. They were not gleaming, jeweled things like the tails from across the narrow sea. They looked heavy, ancient, dulled by time. Ash clung to their shells in thin layers, as if even here the doom had reached. One egg was veined red-black, like cooled lava, its surface rougher than the others. Another was pale, almost bone-colored, with greenish marbling that reminded Oberyn Martell of seafoam and rot. The third was dark as night with a subtle bronze sheen that caught the lantern light and held it. Maester Oberyn made a sound that was half-sob. "By the 7, Maester Oberyn whispered, then corrected himself, voice shaking with reverence. By whatever gods watched Valyria burn." Ellaria Sand stared at the eggs, her face caught between awe and dread. "They are real," Ellaria Sand breathed. Oberyn Martell stepped closer, careful, as if approaching a sleeping predator. The air around the eggs felt different, thicker, charged. His skin prickled. On the far side of the chamber, a smaller altar stood against the wall. Something rested upon it, metal or stone, cracked and dark, with edges that glowed faintly like embers. It smoked, thin wisps curling upward even in this sealed place. Maester Oberyn's eyes snapped to it, scholar's hunger overriding fear. "No, Maester Oberyn whispered." "That is, what?" Oberyn Martell asked. Maester Oberyn licked his lips. "A binding shard," Maester Oberyn said. "A piece of something larger. Some say the Dragon Lords used horns and blood and words to command." Ellaria Sand's gaze hardened. "Do not touch it." Oberyn Martell's smile returned, faint and wicked. "Of course," Oberyn Martell said, and reached toward the eggs instead. He did not touch them immediately. He hovered his hand above the dark egg, feeling heat, faint but present, like a coal buried under ash. His pulse quickened. "Wrap them," Oberyn Martell said, voice low. "Carefully. No one drops a dragon." Maester Oberyn fumbled with cloth, hands shaking so badly Oberyn Martell had to take it from him. Ellaria Sand tore strips from her cloak without hesitation, her eyes never leaving the eggs. Vargo stood at the edge of the chamber, axe ready, watching the stair behind them. "Hurry," Vargo growled. "I hear." A faint sound came from the stairwell, a scrape, followed by another, something moving above. Ellaria Sand's face tightened. They found the door. Oberyn Martell lifted the first egg, the red-black one, and felt its weight settle into his palms. It was heavier than he expected, as if it held not just a creature but centuries of sleeping fire. The shell was warm, not hot, but alive. He wrapped it quickly, tucking it against his chest. Ellaria Sand lifted the pale egg, cradling it like an infant. Her hands were steady, but her eyes were wide. "It feels wrong," Ellaria Sand whispered. "Because it is powerful," Oberyn Martell murmured. Maester Oberyn took the dark egg, clutching it with trembling devotion. "I studied these," Maester Oberyn whispered. "I studied stories. I never believed." "Belief is optional," Oberyn Martell said. "Survival is not." The smoking shard on the altar crackled softly, a tiny sound like dry wood burning. Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked toward it. Something about it called to him, not with words, but with a sensation, a pull in his blood. He felt it in the cut on his palm, still sticky beneath dried blood. Ellaria Sand saw his glance. "No," Ellaria Sand said again, voice sharper. "Do not." Oberyn Martell's smile was thin. "You think I am incapable of restraint?" Ellaria Sand's gaze did not soften. "I think you are incapable of ignoring temptation," Ellaria Sand replied. A scraping sound echoed louder from the stairwell, accompanied by a faint, wet breathing. Vargo cursed in Kohoric and shifted his stance. Oberyn Martell took one step toward the altar, drawn despite himself. The shard glowed slightly brighter, as if recognizing him. Heat washed against his face. Maester Oren's voice went high with fear. "Prince Oberyn Martell, please." Oberyn Martell's fingers hovered above the shard. He could feel something in it, something old and hungry, like a hand reaching up from a pit. For the first time since stepping onto Valyrian shore, Oberyn Martell felt something close to true fear. Not fear of dying, but fear of becoming. Ellaria Sand's hand closed around his wrist, hard as iron. "Oberyn Martell," Ellaria Sand said, voice low and fierce. "We came for eggs, not chains." Oberyn Martell's breath caught. He looked at Ellaria Sand. In her eyes he saw not cowardice but clarity. He exhaled slowly and withdrew his hand. The shard dimmed. As if disappointed, Vargo's voice snapped. "They are coming." From the stairwell came a rasping moan, followed by the scrape of stone on stone. Multiple steps, multiple bodies. Maester Oren clutched the egg tighter. "We have to go," Maester Oren whispered. Oberyn Martell nodded once. "We go," Oberyn Martell said, and turned toward the stair. As they moved, the lantern flame guttered violently. For a moment the chamber darkened, and in that darkness Oberyn Martell felt, rather than saw, the glyphs on the walls flare faintly, as if waking. Then the lantern steadied, and the darkness retreated. They ran. The stair became a throat trying to swallow them. They climbed fast, boots slipping slightly on smooth stone, shoulders scraping the walls when the curve narrowed. Oberyn Martell held the red-black egg tight against his chest, feeling its weight pull at him as if it wished to stay buried. Above, the opening was a circle of dim light, gray with ash, felt impossibly far. The first stone man appeared on the steps above them, crawling down headfirst like a spider. His cracked fingers dug into the stone, nails black with rot. Its mouth hung open in a soundless moan. Vargo roared and swung his axe upward. The blade caught the creature's arm, severing it at the elbow. The stone man did not scream. It kept coming, reaching with its remaining hand. Ellaria Sand hissed and kicked, driving her boot into its face. The cracked skin broke further, splitting like old plaster. The creature tumbled backward, striking another behind it. More followed. They moved in a jerking wave, bodies too stiff for grace yet too relentless to ignore. Their eyes were pale, unfocused, but they found flesh with unerring hunger. Maester Oren's lantern flame sputtered as if frightened. The light dimmed, then flared, casting huge distorted shadows on the walls. Oberyn Martell's skin crawled as the shadows writhed, too much like dragons. "Keep moving," Oberyn Martell snapped, his voice harsh in the tight space. Ellaria Sand climbed ahead of him, her back tense. "Do not drop it," Ellaria Sand muttered to herself, cradling the pale egg like a prayer. Maester Oren stumbled, and for a heartbeat the dark egg shifted in his arms. Oberyn Martell's hand shot out, steadying it. "If you drop that," Oberyn Martell said through clenched teeth, "I will throw you into the sea myself." Maester Oren's eyes were wild. I won't," Maester Oren panted. "I won't." Above, Vargo's axe swung again, biting into a stone man's skull. The head cracked like a dropped pot. The creature's body slumped, blocking the narrow stair. "Move it," Vargo snarled. Oberyn Martell shoved past, using his shoulder to push the corpse aside. The stone felt warm and brittle, like baked clay. The creature's fingers twitched against his sleeve, and Oberyn Martell recoiled, disgust and fear twisting together. Ellaria Sand's voice snapped, "Do not let them touch you." Oberyn Martell did not answer. His heart hammered. The air tasted of rot and sulfur. The heat rose in pulses, as if the earth itself was breathing under them. They reached the top. Gray light spilled down from above, and with it the smell of smoke and open air. Oberyn Martell lunged up through the opening, emerging into the manse's courtyard. The ash fell thicker now, coating everything. The smoke outside was denser, swirling with strange currents. The scraping sound from behind them continued, stone men climbing with patient hunger. Nymer Waters was there, standing at the entrance with two sailors, their faces pale. One sailor held a torch that burned weakly. Nymer Waters' eyes widened when he saw what they carried. "You have them," Nymer Waters breathed. "No time," Oberyn Martell snapped. "We leave," the sailor with the torch screamed, pointing. Across the courtyard, in the broken archway leading out to the street, figures moved. More stone men, drawn by scent, by sound, by some hunger that did not tire. They were closing the circle. Vargo bellowed and charged, axe swinging, carving a path through the nearest creature. The stone man's arm flew off, tumbling through ash. Another lunged, and Vargo's armor clanged as cracked fingers scraped uselessly against iron. Oberyn Martell grabbed the torch from the sailor and hurled it toward the cluster in the archway. Flames caught on old cloth, licking up gray skin. The stone men did not scream, but they recoiled, their movements jerky and panicked. "Fire still works," Ilaria Sand gasped. "For now," Maester Oren wheezed. They ran. Through the archway, down the fused street, the broken dragon statue looming like a fallen god. Ash churned around their ankles. The smoke pressed at their faces. The air burned their throats. Behind them, the stone men followed, not fast, but relentless, their moans blending into a low chorus. The coastline appeared through the smoke, jagged rocks rising from steaming water. The sand wraith lay in the inlet where they had left it, half hidden by gray haze. Nymer Waters and the sailors scrambled ahead, climbing down onto the rocks toward the ship. Vargo stayed behind, axe swinging, keeping the creatures at bay. One stone man lunged at Ilaria Sand, fingers reaching for her cloak. Ilaria Sand twisted away, but the creature's nails caught the fabric, ripping it. For a heartbeat, its cracked hand brushed Ilaria Sand's wrist. Ilaria Sand went rigid. Oberyn Martell's blood turned cold. He grabbed the creature's arm and drove his dagger into its elbow joint, severing it. The stone man fell, twitching. Ilaria Sand stared at her wrist, breath ragged. The skin was unbroken. No gray patch spread. Nothing. Oberyn Martell exhaled, tight and shaky. He had not realized he was holding his breath until it left him. Ilaria Sand met his eyes. "I am fine," Ilaria Sand said, voice strained. "Go." They reached the ship. Sailors hauled them aboard, hands gripping arms, pulling hard. Oberyn Martell climbed up, careful of the egg against his chest. Ilaria Sand followed, then Maester Oren, then Vargo last, leaping onto the deck as stone men reached the rocks below. One stone man grabbed at the ship's rail. His cracked fingers latched on. Vargo swung his axe down, severing the hand. The fingers remained clenched on the wood for a moment like a curse, then fell. "Push off," Oberyn Martell shouted. Oars plunged into steaming water. Men grunted. The ship lurched, pulling away from the rocks. Stone men gathered at the shoreline, their pale eyes fixed on the fleeing ship. One lifted its head and opened its mouth, wider, releasing a sound that was not a moan but something like a howl, thin, desperate, furious. The sound chased them out over the water. Oberyn Martell stood at the stern, ash streaking his face, and watched Valyria recede into smoke. He had what he came for. Now he had to keep it. They did not speak for a long time. The sand wraith cut through the hot water, oars dipping in steady rhythm. The sailors' faces were gray with ash and fear. Their arms shook with exhaustion, but no one slowed. Behind them, Old Valyria was a shadow dissolving into smoke, a nightmare reluctant to release its prey. The ash fell less heavily as they moved away, but it still drifted down like the world's slow condemnation. Oberyn Martell wiped his face with his sleeve and tasted grit and salt. Ilaria Sand sat near the mast, her cloak torn, her hands clasped tight in her lap. Now and then her eyes flicked down to her wrist, as if expecting the skin to bloom gray at any moment. It did not. The wrist remained pale, intact. Maester Oberyn cradled his egg like a holy relic, whispering to himself. Oberyn Martell caught fragments, names of gods, names of kings, scraps of Valyrian words that sounded like fire. Vargo kept watch at the rail, his axe resting on his shoulder as if it were merely a staff. His face was unreadable beneath ash and sweat, but his eyes were hard. He had killed without hesitation, yet even he looked shaken by the slow persistence of the stone men. Nymer Waters steered by instinct as much as knowledge. He watched the currents and the strange distortions in the air, muttering under his breath in Rhoynish. His blistered finger was wrapped in cloth, but he used it anyway, touching water, touching rail, as if trying to read the sea like a page. Hours passed. The air cooled by degrees. The water stopped steaming so visibly. The ash began to thin. Then the wind returned. It came in a sudden gust that snapped the sail and made the ship shudder. The sailors cried out, half relief and half fear, as if even wind could not be trusted here. Oberyn Martell grabbed the rail, steadying himself, and looked back. Old Valyria was still there, but it was farther now, blurred by distance and smoke. Lightning flickered silently above it, pale streaks inside thick clouds. The land looked like a black wound on the horizon. A sound drifted across the water, faint, distant, almost imagined. Ilaria Sand stiffened. "Do you hear that?" Ilaria Sand asked. Maester Oberyn's eyes snapped up, terror fresh. "No, Maeste Orin whispered." "No, it cannot be." The sound came again, a low rumble that rolled through the air, more felt than heard. The sail trembled. The hair on Oberyn Martell's arms rose. It was not thunder. It was something else. Oberyn Martell's breath caught. He stared toward the smoke, his mind racing through possibilities he did not want to name. Nymer Waters turned his head slowly, eyes wide, gazing toward the horizon. "Wings," Nymer Waters whispered, voice barely audible. The old song said. A shape moved within the smoke. For a heartbeat, Oberyn Martell thought it was only cloud shifting, a trick of light and ash. Then it happened again, deliberate. The smoke parted, and something immense passed behind it. Too large to be bird, too purposeful to be wind. A silhouette, curved like a spine. A sweep that could only be a wing. Maester Oberyn began to sob softly. "Dragons," Maester Oberyn whispered. "There are still." Vargo's grip tightened on his axe. "Row faster," Vargo growled. "Now." The sailors obeyed without being told, their fear renewed, their muscles driven by panic. Oars plunged deeper. The ship surged forward. Oberyn Martell stood frozen for a heartbeat, staring at the smoke. His mind flashed with images. Dragons above Valyria, ancient and furious, half-mad with centuries of heat and sorcery. Dragons that had survived the doom like cockroaches in fire. Dragons that might not care whether the men fleeing carried eggs or not, only that they were alive. Ilaria Sand's voice cut through his reverie. "Oberyn Martell," Ilaria Sand said sharply. "Move." Oberyn Martell blinked and forced himself to breathe. He turned away from Valyria and focused on the ship, on the living men, on the sea ahead. He had eggs. He did not need to test whether Valyria still housed monsters. The wind strengthened, filling the sail. The sand wraith raced westward, away from smoke and silent lightning. Night fell, and the stars appeared again. Faint at first, then clearer as the ash finally stopped falling. The air tasted more like salt now, less like sulfur. Still, no one slept. They took turns watching the horizon behind them, waiting to see the silhouette again. It did not return, or if it did, the smoke hid it. Near dawn, when exhaustion made even fear sluggish, Maester Oberyn spoke in a hoarse whisper. "Prince Oberyn Martell," Maester Oberyn said. Oberyn Martell looked at him. "What?" Maester Oberyn's eyes flicked to the cloth-wrapped eggs. "If they hatch," Maester Oberyn swallowed. "Do you know what you will do?" Oberyn Martell's smile came slowly, tired but sharp. "Yes," Oberyn Martell said. Maester Oberyn's voice trembled. "What?" Oberyn Martell looked west. toward Dorne and Sunspear and Prince Oberyn Martell's careful patience. He imagined the Iron Throne, the lions. He imagined Elia Martell's face, remembered through grief. "I will change the world," Oberyn Martell said softly. Ellaria Sand watched him, and in her gaze was love and fear and a strange pride, as if she had always known he would try. The sand wraith sailed on. Sunspear smelled of salt and citrus when Oberyn Martell returned, and for a moment the familiar scent struck him harder than Valyria's sulfur ever had. It was the scent of home, of safety, of things that could be lost. He did not arrive with banners or heralds. He arrived as a shadow slipping through his own city, bringing danger wrapped in cloth. Prince Oberyn Martell met him not in the Great Hall, but in a hidden solar beneath the castle, a room of thick sandstone and iron-banded doors guarded by men whose loyalty was proven. A single lamp burned on a table. Its flame was steady, warm, domestic, absurd, in a room that held the future of kingdoms. Princess Oberyn Martell was there, eyes bright and fierce, unable to stay away. Ellaria Sand stood beside Oberyn Martell, her posture protective, like a shield that had learned to love the spear behind it. Maester Oberyn knelt by a brazier, hands hovering over coals as if he could coax fire into obedience. When Oberyn Martell unwrapped the first egg, the lamp's flame seemed to lean toward it. Prince Oberyn Martell stared. For a long time he said nothing. Then, softly, Prince Oberyn Martell breathed. "Mother have mercy." Oberyn Martell set the red-black egg on the table. It made a dull, heavy sound, like stone placed on stone. Ellaria Sand unwrapped the pale egg and set it beside the first. Maester Oberyn unwrapped the dark egg with shaking hands, his mouth moving in silent reverence. 3 eggs rested on dark cloth. They did not glow with obvious magic. They simply were weighty, silent, ancient. Prince Oberyn Martell's eyes remained on them, fixed as if looking away might make them vanish. "You did it?" Prince Oberyn Martell said at last, voice hoarse with disbelief. Oberyn Martell's smile was tired. "I told you I would." Princess Oberyn Martell leaned forward, bracelets chiming. "They are beautiful," Princess Oberyn Martell whispered. "They are terrifying," Prince Oberyn Martell replied, and there was no reproach in it, only truth. Ellaria Sand's hand slid into Oberyn Martell's, fingers lacing with his bandaged palm pressed against her skin. The cut from Valyria had not healed cleanly. It itched and burned at odd moments, as if remembering the heat of the glyphs. Prince Oberyn Martell finally looked up at Oberyn Martell, eyes dark with a storm of emotions. "How many died for this?" Prince Oberyn Martell asked. Oberyn Martell's smile faded. "Not enough," Oberyn Martell said quietly, and the words came out harsher than he intended. He inhaled, steadying himself. "We lost 3 men, 2 to the smoke, 1 to the stone men." Maester Oberyn flinched at the phrase, eyes flicking toward the iron-banded door as if expecting gray fingers to slip under it. Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze returned to the eggs. "And you brought no other relics?" Prince Oberyn Martell asked carefully. Ellaria Sand's eyes sharpened. Oberyn Martell understood the question. Prince Oberyn Martell had sensed it, the way one senses poison before tasting it. Oberyn Martell hesitated for the barest moment. "No," Oberyn Martell said, and it was almost true. Ellaria Sand's fingers tightened around his hand, a warning and a promise. Prince Oberyn Martell nodded slowly, though his eyes remained suspicious. "Then we must decide what to do with them," Prince Oberyn Martell said. Princess Oberyn Martell's voice was eager. "Hatch them." Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze cut to Princess Oberyn Martell. "And announce to the world that Dorne holds dragons?" Prince Oberyn Martell's voice stayed calm, but there was steel beneath it. "Do you think the Iron Throne will politely applaud?" Oberyn Martell's grin flashed. "It might," Oberyn Martell said, briefly, before it starts screaming. Prince Oberyn Martell's eyes narrowed. "This is not a jest." "No," Oberyn Martell agreed, and the humor drained from him. "It is a knife. The question is whether we hold it by the handle or the blade." Ellaria Sand stepped closer to the table, looking at the eggs as if they were sleeping infants and coiled serpents at once. "How do we hatch them?" Ilaria Sand asked. Maester Oberyn swallowed, his scholar's mind latching onto a task like a lifeline. "Heat," Maester Oberyn said. "Fire. Perhaps blood." He glanced at Oberyn Martell's bandaged palm. "The old writings speak of sacrifice." Prince Dorne Martell's jaw tightened. "No sacrifices," Prince Dorne Martell said sharply. "We are not Valyria." Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to Prince Dorne Martell. "Sometimes," Oberyn Martell murmured. "A little Valyria is useful." Prince Dorne Martell's eyes flashed. "Sometimes Valyria destroys itself." The lamp flame trembled, though there was no breeze. Princess Arianne Martell drew back slightly, suddenly uneasy. "Did it move?" Princess Arianne Martell whispered. Everyone stilled. Oberyn Martell leaned forward, eyes narrowed, staring at the eggs. At first he saw nothing but smooth shell and marbled color. Then, faintly, a shimmer ran across the red-black egg, so subtle it could have been a trick of light. Maester Oberyn's breath hitched. "It's warm," Maester Oberyn whispered. Ilaria Sand reached out but did not touch. "I feel it," Ilaria Sand murmured. "Heat." Prince Dorne Martell's face tightened, fear and calculation warring. "We must hide them," Prince Dorne Martell said. "Bury them in stone if we must. If the wrong ears hear." "They will hear," Oberyn Martell interrupted. "Secrets leak. Always." He smiled slightly, eyes bright. "Better to decide how the world learns, rather than waiting for it to discover." Prince Dorne Martell stared at Oberyn Martell. "You brought this into my house." Oberyn Martell's gaze held. "I brought possibility," Oberyn Martell said. "You have lived your life starving yourself of it." Silence pressed in, thick as the sandstone walls. Then, from somewhere beyond the iron-banded door, a faint sound drifted down the corridor. Footsteps. 2 guards shifted outside, spears scraping stone. Ilaria Sand's head lifted sharply. "Who is that?" Ilaria Sand whispered. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes narrowed. He did not call out. He listened, as if weighing whether to trust even sound. The footsteps stopped. A soft knock came at the iron-banded door. Everyone froze. For a heartbeat, Oberyn Martell imagined gray, cracked fingers on the other side. He imagined Valyria's smoke seeping into Sunspear. Prince Dorne Martell's voice was steady. "Who is it?" Prince Dorne Martell called. A muffled voice answered from behind the door, one of the guards. "My prince, a servant, with a message." Prince Dorne Martell's eyes remained sharp. "Bring it." The door opened a crack. A folded parchment slipped through, and the door shut again with a heavy clang. Prince Dorne Martell took the parchment, his fingers careful. He broke the seal. Oberyn Martell watched his brother's face as he read. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes hardened. Princess Arianne Martell leaned forward. "What is it?" Princess Arianne Martell demanded. Prince Dorne Martell looked up. "A whisper," Prince Dorne Martell said quietly. "From the east." Oberyn Martell's pulse quickened. "About dragons?" Prince Dorne Martell's gaze held his. "About a girl with dragons," Prince Dorne Martell said. "And about a man who went to Old Valyria and came back alive." Ilaria Sand's face drained of color. "Already," Ilaria Sand whispered. Oberyn Martell smiled, and it was not amusement this time but recognition, an understanding that the world had already begun turning its head. Prince Dorne Martell's voice was low. "Someone is watching," Prince Dorne Martell said. "Someone knows enough to be dangerous." Oberyn Martell's hand hovered over the red-black egg. The shell felt warmer now, as if responding to the fear in the room. He looked at Ilaria Sand, then at Princess Arianne Martell, then at Prince Dorne Martell. "Good," Oberyn Martell said softly. "Let them watch." The lamp flame wavered again, shadows trembling on the wall like the movement of wings. Prince Dorne Martell folded the parchment and set it down as if it might bite. The lamp's flame steadied after its brief tremor, but the room did not. The underground solar was a pocket of stone under Sunspear, meant for secrets too sharp to let into sunlight. It smelled faintly of old sand and iron, and now it smelled of something else as well. A heat that did not come from the brazier, a whisper of far fire clinging to 3 silent shapes on the table. Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze remained on the eggs. His eyes were calm only because he had made them so. Oberyn Martell knew that look. His brother's patience was not passivity, and his composure was not peace. It was a fortress built in the mind, stone by stone, to keep panic from climbing the walls. "Who sent this?" Oberyn Martell asked. Prince Oberyn Martell's fingers drummed once against the arm of his chair. "A merchant we pay to see more than he sells," Prince Oberyn Martell said quietly. "He writes from Lys. He says the story is already changing as it travels." His mouth tightened. "A man returned from Old Valyria. Some say he returned with treasure. Some say he returned with plague. Some say..." Prince Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked toward the eggs. "He returned with dragons." Princess Oberyn Martell's breath caught. A sharp intake she could not stop. "Already," Princess Oberyn Martell whispered. "We have not even." "We have already," Prince Oberyn Martell corrected, and the words were gentle only on the surface. A secret ceases to be a secret the moment it becomes a story worth repeating. Maester Oberyn made a small sound, like a mouse caught in a trap. "No one in Dorne has spoken," Maester Oberyn insisted. "No one here knows." Oberyn Martell's smile was thin. "Then someone among your sailors talked," Oberyn Martell said, not unkindly. "Or someone among Caro's men." His eyes slid to Ilaria Sand. "Or someone saw us return." Ilaria Sand's gaze did not drop. "Then someone dies," Ilaria Sand said simply. Ario Hoda shifted at the iron-banded door, the long axe in his hands as still as a statue. His expression remained blank, but Oberyn Martell had learned long ago that Ario Hoda's blankness was a kind of oath. The captain did not waste emotion where duty lived. Prince Oberyn Martell looked up, meeting Oberyn Martell's eyes. "No rash deaths," Prince Oberyn Martell said. "No blood spilled without purpose. If we begin cutting throats in our own halls, we will be the ones telling the world we have something to hide." Oberyn Martell's grin flashed. "We do," Oberyn Martell said. Princess Oberyn Martell stepped closer to the table, bracelets whispering. "If the world is already turning its head," Princess Oberyn Martell said, "then perhaps we should decide where it looks first." Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze sharpened on his daughter. "We decide by surviving," Prince Oberyn Martell said, "and survival begins with silence." Oberyn Martell's bandaged hand hovered over the red-black egg. He could feel warmth through cloth and linen and the thin distance of air. It was a small warmth, but it was there. It was not imagination. It was a coal under sand. "How long can you keep it silent?" Oberyn Martell asked, voice low. Prince Oberyn Martell did not glance away from the eggs. "As long as we must," Prince Oberyn Martell said. Oberyn Martell laughed softly. "You have always loved that answer." Prince Oberyn Martell's eyes lifted, cool. "And you have always hated it." Ilaria Sand's fingers tightened on Oberyn Martell's forearm, a warning not to turn this into a duel of pride. Oberyn Martell's smile shifted. The edge softened just enough to keep the room from cutting itself open. "Then let us do what you do best, brother," Oberyn Martell said. "Let us plan." Prince Oberyn Martell nodded once. "First," Prince Oberyn Martell said, "these eggs do not remain here." He glanced toward Ario Hoda. "Ario Hoda, for men, the ones you trust with your own life." Ario Hoda inclined his head. "Yes, my prince." "Not to speak," Prince Oberyn Martell added. Ario Hoda's eyes did not change. "They will not speak." Prince Oberyn Martell turned back to the table. "Second," Prince Oberyn Martell said, "no more men come into this room. Not servants, not guards, not maids. No one but us and Ario Hoda is chosen." Princess Oberyn Martell's lips pressed together, frustration flaring. "You would keep me locked out," Princess Oberyn Martell said. Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze softened, but only a fraction. "I would keep you alive," Prince Oberyn Martell replied. and I would keep Dorne intact. Oberyn Martell's eyes glittered. And the third? Prince Doran Martell's mouth tightened. The third is the hardest, Prince Doran Martell said. We must decide whether to hatch them. Silence fell again, heavier than ash. Maester Oren's hands hovered over his satchel, as if he could pull answers from leather. If they do not hatch, Maester Oren whispered, then we have only stones that make the world kill us. Oberyn Martell's smile was fierce. If they do hatch, Oberyn Martell said, then we have fire. Ilaria Sand's voice was quiet. Fire burns the hand that holds it. Oberyn Martell looked at her, and something in his expression softened. Only if the hand is careless. Prince Doran Martell's eyes moved from Oberyn Martell's face to the bandage on his palm. And what of the cost? Prince Doran Martell asked. Maester Oren spoke of blood, of sacrifice. I will not have Dorne become a slaughterhouse to make a monster for my brother. Oberyn Martell's gaze did not flinch. Then we do not sacrifice, Oberyn Martell said. We find another way. Maester Oren swallowed, relieved and terrified at once. Heat, Maester Oren said quickly. Time, perhaps the eggs merely need the right conditions, like a mother dragon's body. We could. Princess Arianne Martell's eyes flashed. We do not have a mother dragon. Oberyn Martell's smile returned. Dang. Iris. Not yet. Prince Doran Martell closed his eyes briefly, as if in pain. When he opened them, the calm was back, forged anew. We will try, Prince Doran Martell said, voice steady. But not recklessly, not openly, not in a way that costs lives we cannot afford. Oberyn Martell's grin widened. Now you are speaking my language, Oberyn Martell said, and it was a lie. Prince Doran Martell was speaking in caution, as always, but Oberyn Martell could taste the shift anyway. His brother had stepped onto the path, even if reluctantly. Ariohoda's voice cut in, low and direct. My prince, Ariohoda said. The eggs must be moved now. Guards will notice heat. Men will talk. Prince Doran Martell nodded. Then we move them, Prince Doran Martell said. Ilaria Sand leaned closer to Oberyn Martell, her lips near his ear. And the shard, Ilaria Sand whispered, too softly for the others. Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked to her for a heartbeat. His smile did not change. There is no shard, Oberyn Martell murmured back, and Ilaria Sand's gaze hardened with disbelief. Prince Doran Martell raised a hand. Wrap them, Prince Doran Martell said, and take them to the old salt cellar beneath the eastern tower. The door will be sealed. The key will remain with Ariohoda. Princess Arianne Martell's head snapped up. The salt cellar? Princess Arianne Martell protested. That place is cold. Prince Doran Martell's eyes remained on the eggs. It is hidden, Prince Doran Martell said. We can bring heat to hidden places. We cannot bring secrecy to open ones. Oberyn Martell lifted the red-black egg again, careful as if he held a heart. Ilaria Sand took the pale egg. Maester Oren clutched the dark egg, face pale with awe and terror. They moved as if carrying glass, though it was heavier than stone. As they passed Ariohoda, the captain's gaze flicked to the bundle in Oberyn Martell's arms. For a heartbeat, the stoic mask cracked, just enough to let something through. Respect, perhaps, or dread. Keep your men close, Oberyn Martell said to Ariohoda, voice low. Ariohoda's answer was simple. Always. The iron-banded door opened, and the corridor beyond was dark and cool. The air smelled of stone and distant salt. Their footsteps were muffled on the worn steps. Behind them, the lamp flame continued to burn, small and domestic, as if daring the world to pretend dragons were not waking beneath Sunspear. The stair beneath Sunspear was older than the Martells, older than the stories their maesters preferred to tell. It wound downward through stone that had once been shaped by Roynish hands. Tight turns, narrow landings, occasional alcoves where rusted hooks still waited for lamps that no longer burned. Torchlight painted the walls in flickering gold. The shadows it made were too long, too sharp, as if the flames wanted to carve dragons out of stone. Princess Arian Martell walked behind them, jaw tight. She had not taken kindly to being excluded, and Prince Oberyn Martell knew it. That was why he had let her follow, because sometimes refusal was more dangerous than permission. Princess Arian Martell's defiance could be a storm. Better to guide it than to stand before it and be swept away. Valyria Sand held the pale egg close, feeling the shell's strange coolness and faint, intermittent warmth, as if something inside shifted in sleep. Her arms ached with the weight, but she did not complain. She watched the torch flames, the stone walls, the backs of the men ahead, and she listened for footsteps that did not belong. Maester Oberyn's breath rasped. Salt cellars were used for more than salt, Maester Oberyn whispered, voice barely audible over the shuffle of feet. In Old Valyria, the Dragon Lords kept. Do not speak of Valyria here, Princess Arian Martell hissed. Maester Oberyn flinched and fell silent. Ariohoda paused at a landing and listened, head tilted slightly as if hearing something the rest of them missed. Then he continued, steady and patient as the turning of seasons. When they reached the cellar door, it was not a simple wooden barrier, but an iron-bound slab set into stone, the hinges thick, the lock heavy. Ariohoda produced a key that looked too new to belong here, the kind of key made for fresh secrets. He turned it. The lock clanked open. The door swung inward with a low groan, and cold air spilled out, tasting sharply of salt and damp stone. Inside, the cellar was broad and low-ceilinged, the floor packed earth strewn with old salt crystals that glittered in torchlight. Rows of shallow shelves lined the walls, once filled with preserved fish and cured meats. Now they were empty, waiting. A small channel cut through the floor carried a trickle of water, likely from some hidden spring. It murmured softly, a sound too gentle for what they planned. Ariohoda stepped aside, allowing them in. Oberyn Martell entered first, his boots crunching lightly on salt. The cellar's cold kissed his face, making him aware of how much heat still clung to his skin from Valyria. He set the red-black egg carefully onto a folded cloth on the central table Prince Oberyn Martell had ordered placed here days ago, before Oberyn Martell returned. Because Prince Oberyn Martell had always planned for the impossible, even when he claimed he did not. Valyria Sand set the pale egg beside it. Maester Oberyn placed the dark egg last, his hands lingering a moment as if reluctant to let it go. For a heartbeat, they all simply stared. 3 eggs in a salt cellar under Sunspear. Arian Martell's voice broke the silence, raw with frustration and wonder. We are hiding dragons with salt, Princess Arian Martell said. Is that truly the best we can do? Oberyn Martell's smile was sharp. Salt preserves, Oberyn Martell replied. Perhaps it will preserve our lives. Princess Arian Martell's eyes flashed. Or preserve our cowardice. Valyria Sand's head snapped toward Princess Arian Martell. Do not call caution cowardice, Valyria Sand said, voice low and hard. Not when caution is all that stands between Dorne and a knife in the dark. Princess Arian Martell's jaw tightened. I do not fear knives, Princess Arian Martell said. Valyria Sand's gaze did not waver. That is because you have never been cut deep enough. Oberyn Martell watched them, amused and uneasy in equal measure. Princess Arian Martell had her father's intelligence and his stubbornness, and she had Oberyn Martell's hunger for danger without his lived scars. That combination could build a kingdom or burn one. Ariohoda cleared his throat softly, as if reminding them where they were. My prince will come, Ariohoda said. He will wish to see this place. Oberyn Martell nodded. He will, Oberyn Martell said. And he will hate it. Maester Oberyn stepped closer to the eggs, hovering as if afraid to breathe on them. We must keep them warm, Maester Oberyn said. Cold will slow any awakening. Princess Arian Martell's gaze sharpened. Then bring heat, Princess Arian Martell said impatiently. What are we waiting for? Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked to the channel of water, to the salt crystals, to the stone ceiling. We are waiting for my brother to decide how much of the world he is willing to gamble, Oberyn Martell said. Princess Arian Martell scoffed, but she said nothing. Ilaria Sand stepped closer to Oberyn Martell. If the rumor is already in lists, Ilaria Sand whispered. It will reach King's Landing. Oberyn Martell's grin flashed. Let it, Oberyn Martell murmured. Let the lions taste fear for once. Ilaria Sand's fingers brushed the bandage on his palm. Fear makes lions bite. Oberyn Martell's eyes softened. Then we will bring them a hand they cannot swallow. Maester Oberyn looked up, face pale. Prince Oberyn Martell? Maester Oberyn said, voice trembling. There is something else. Oberyn Martell's smile faded. Speak. Maester Oberyn swallowed hard. When we ran, Maester Oberyn said. In the vault. The glyphs, he hesitated. They glowed. Just for a moment. Like they woke. Princess Oberyn Martell's eyes widened. Woke? Maester Oberyn nodded, sweat on his brow despite the cellar cold. I think taking the eggs may have... He swallowed again. May have stirred something. Ariohoda's grip on his long axe tightened slightly. Something followed. Ariohoda. It said, not as a question. Maester Oberyn shook his head quickly. Not followed, Maester Oberyn whispered. Not in the way you mean, but... His gaze flicked to Oberyn Martell. Blood wakes stone. Fire wakes blood. Oberyn Martell's bandaged palm itched. A phantom sting of Valyrian heat. Ilaria Sand's eyes narrowed at him. What did you touch down there? Ilaria Sand asked softly. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, small and unreadable. Only what I had to, Oberyn Martell said. Ilaria Sand did not believe him. She did not need to. She knew him too well. Footsteps echoed from the stair. The slow, deliberate rhythm of a man who owned the time he spent. Prince Oberyn Martell arrived, wheeled by a silent guard, his face composed, his eyes already measuring the room. He looked at the eggs and did not speak for a long moment. Then Prince Oberyn Martell said, We will keep them here. Princess Oberyn Martell's mouth opened to protest, but Prince Oberyn Martell lifted a hand, stopping her with the authority of a father and a prince. We will keep them here, Prince Oberyn Martell repeated, until we know how to wake them without waking the world. Oberyn Martell smiled, and in it was approval, irritation, and something almost tender. Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze met his. And you, Prince Oberyn Martell said quietly, will tell me everything you brought back. Oberyn Martell's smile did not change. Ilaria Sand's eyes did. Prince Oberyn Martell's question followed Oberyn Martell like a shadow. He did not answer it in the salt cellar. He did not answer it in the corridor, with Ariohoda's long axe and Princess Oberyn Martell's restless eyes nearby. Oberyn Martell waited until night, until Sunspear's halls were quiet and the servants' whispers were muffled by sleep. In a private chamber off the Spear Tower, Oberyn Martell lit a single candle. Its flame threw a small circle of light across a table and left the corners of the room in darkness. Ilaria Sand closed the door behind her without being asked. She did not sit. She stood with her arms crossed, the posture of a woman bracing herself against disappointment. Oberyn Martell watched the candle flame dance, pretending calm, and then he reached into his boot and drew out a cloth bundle no larger than his hand. Ilaria Sand's eyes narrowed. There it is, Ilaria Sand said softly, and her voice held no surprise, only confirmation of what she had already known. Oberyn Martell unwrapped the cloth with careful fingers. Within lay the shard. It was dark metal or stone, hard to tell in candlelight, cracked through its middle like a broken tooth. Its edges glowed faintly, as if embers lived inside it. Thin smoke curled upward, tasting of heat and iron. The air above it wavered as if the world itself bent to accommodate it. Ilaria Sand took a step closer, then stopped, instinct warning her not to cross an invisible line. You lied, Ilaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's smile was small and unapologetic. I withheld, Oberyn Martell corrected. Ilaria Sand's gaze sharpened. You kept a piece of Valyria's chains in your boot and carried it into our home, Ilaria Sand said, each word measured. If Oberyn Martell knew, Oberyn Martell's eyes flashed. If Oberyn Martell knew, Oberyn Martell said. He would bury it under stone and salt and prayers, and then, when the world came for us, he would regret not having a weapon sharp enough to bite back. Ellaria Sand's mouth tightened. And you think this is a weapon you can hold without it cutting you? Oberyn Martell lifted his bandaged palm, flexing his fingers. It already has, Oberyn Martell said lightly. Ellaria Sand did not smile. Why did you bring it? Oberyn Martell's gaze lowered to the shard. The ember glow in its cracks pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Because it called to me, Oberyn Martell admitted, and the honesty in the words made them heavier. Because I could feel it in my blood. Because the Dragon Lords did not rule with eggs alone. They ruled with bindings. Ellaria Sand's eyes darkened. Bindings made them monsters, Ellaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's smile sharpened. Monsters rule, Oberyn Martell replied. And then they die. Ellaria Sand's voice grew quieter, which was always more dangerous. I did not follow you into smoke so you could become the thing that burned Valyria, Ellaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell looked up at her, and for a moment the playfulness drained away. In candlelight, his face looked older, the planes of it carved by fatigue and something like awe. I do not want to become it, Oberyn Martell said. I want to use it. Ellaria Sand's laugh was soft and bitter. That is what every man says when he picks up poison, Ellaria Sand murmured. You know better than anyone how a little poison becomes a habit. Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked, irritated. Do not lecture me on poison, Oberyn Martell said. Ellaria Sand's gaze did not flinch. Then do not pretend you do not understand, Ellaria Sand said. The shard crackled softly, a tiny sound like dry wood burning. The candle's flame leaned toward it, as if curious. Oberyn Martell felt heat lick at his fingertips even without touching it. You can feel it, Oberyn Martell said, voice low. Can't you? Ellaria Sand hesitated. She wanted to deny it. She could not. The air in the room did feel different, charged and strange, like the moment before lightning. Her skin prickled. Her throat tightened. Yes, Ellaria Sand admitted, and her voice held reluctant fear. I can feel it. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, but it was not triumphant. It was hungry. If it can be made to listen, Oberyn Martell said, if it can be made to obey, then perhaps the eggs will listen too. Ellaria Sand's hands tightened around her own arms, as if holding herself together. And if it does not obey? Ellaria Sand asked. Oberyn Martell's eyes gleamed in candlelight. Then we find out what obeys it. Ellaria Sand took a step forward, anger finally breaking through the fear. No, Ellaria Sand said. You will not bring this near the eggs. Oberyn Martell lifted an eyebrow. You think you can stop me? Ellaria Sand's jaw tightened. I think I can stop you, Ellaria Sand said quietly. If you still love me more than you love your own appetite. The words hit harder than any blade. Oberyn Martell stared at her. For a heartbeat, the room held its breath. The candle flame, the smoke curling from the shard, the heavy silence between them. Then Oberyn Martell exhaled slowly. His smile faded to something tired. You are cruel, Oberyn Martell murmured, but there was no real anger in it. Ellaria Sand's gaze softened, just barely. I am afraid, Ellaria Sand said, and you are not allowed to pretend my fear is weakness. Oberyn Martell looked down at the shard again. The ember glow pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. He wrapped it back in cloth, the smoke seeping through the weave. Not tonight, Oberyn Martell said, voice low. Ellaria Sand did not relax. Not ever, Ellaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, faint and defiant. We will see, Oberyn Martell whispered. Outside, somewhere in the dark corridors of Sunspear, a servant's footsteps passed, soft as a sigh. Oberyn Martell listened until they faded, and then he hid the shard again as if hiding sin. By morning, Prince Dorne Martell had locked the salt cellar away behind iron and silence. He had placed Areo Hodor's men at its door in shifts, and he had ordered the servants out of that wing as if merely repairing old stone. Sunspear was a palace built on secrets. It wore them like jewelry. Still, secrets required nourishment, and sometimes nourishment meant knowledge. Maester Oberyn led Oberyn Martell and Princess Arianne Martell through a narrow passage into a hidden library beneath the castle, where the air smelled of old vellum and dust and ink long dried. Lanterns hung from hooks, their light soft and honeyed. Shelves rose from floor to ceiling, crowded with scrolls and leather-bound tomes whose titles had been scraped away, as if even words feared being seen. Princess Arianne Martell moved through the room like a cat allowed into a pantry. Her fingers drifted along spines, tasting temptation. "How many of these are forbidden?" Princess Arianne Martell asked, voice hushed. Maester Oberyn swallowed. "Enough," Maester Oberyn said. Oberyn Martell smiled. "Then it is a good library," Oberyn Martell replied. Maester Oberyn set down a stack of scrolls and unrolled one carefully. Crackled, brittle with age. The script was in High Valyrian. The ink faded to brown, the edges singed as if it had survived fire by accident. Princess Arianne Martell leaned in, brows drawn. "Can you read it?" Princess Arianne Martell asked. Maester Oberyn nodded, though his hands trembled. "Some," Maester Oberyn whispered. "Enough to know the words are dangerous." Oberyn Martell sipped his spiced wine and watched Maester Oberyn's mouth shape the old language. The maester looked like a man reciting prayers in a temple built by heathens, devout and terrified. Maester Oberyn pointed to a passage. "It speaks of the cradling heat," Maester Oberyn said, "of eggs kept close to flame, not in flame, near it, warmed and turned as hens do." Princess Arianne Martell's eyes flicked up. "So we build nests of coals," Princess Arianne Martell said. Maester Oberyn hesitated. "Perhaps, but..." He turned another scroll, revealing a crude illustration. A dragon egg in a bed of coals, yes, but also a hand above it, bleeding into a bowl. "Blood is mentioned often," Maester Oberyn admitted. Princess Arianne Martell's mouth tightened. "My father forbids sacrifice." "Blood is not always sacrifice," Oberyn Martell said, voice mild. He lifted his bandaged palm slightly. "Sometimes it is merely invitation." Maester Oberyn's eyes flicked to the bandage, fearful. "Do you believe you can?" Maester Oberyn swallowed. "Wake them." Oberyn Martell's smile widened. "I believe," Oberyn Martell said, "that life wants to live, and the world wants to burn." Princess Arianne Martell snorted. "You speak like a poet." "I speak like a man who has seen the Iron Throne," Oberyn Martell replied. Princess Arianne Martell's eyes sharpened. "Then tell me," Princess Arianne Martell said, leaning closer, "if the eggs hatch, what will father do?" Oberyn Martell's gaze drifted across the scrolls and maps, across the old words that had survived too many fires. "Your father will try to hold the dragon by the tongue," Oberyn Martell said softly. "He will speak carefully. He will bargain. He will delay. He will try to make fire behave like water." Princess Arianne Martell's mouth twisted. "And you?" Oberyn Martell's smile flashed. "I will ride it," Oberyn Martell said. Princess Arianne Martell's laughter was quiet, but there was hunger in it. "I would like to see that," Princess Arianne Martell murmured. Maester Oberyn cleared his throat nervously. "There is another thing," Maester Oberyn said. He hesitated, then produced a smaller book bound in cracked red leather. Its cover bore no title, only a faint symbol pressed into the hide. A dragon coiled around a spear. Oberyn Martell's eyebrows lifted. "Where did you find that?" Maester Oberyn's face went pale. "It was hidden in a wall," Maester Oberyn said, "in the oldest part of the library. I did not know it was there until you returned." Princess Arianne Martell's eyes narrowed. "Until the eggs returned," Princess Arianne Martell said, and her voice held a chill despite the warm lanterns. Maester Oberyn nodded reluctantly, as if the castle itself remembered. Maester Oberyn whispered. Oberyn Martell took the book, turning it in his hands. It felt warmer than it should, as if it had been near fire. He opened it, The pages were covered in a mix of tongues, High Valyrian, Bastard Valyrian, and something older. Between the lines were strange symbols that made his eyes ache if he stared too long. Maester Oberyn's voice shook. "It speaks of binding," Maester Oberyn said, and he said it like a confession. Princess Oberyn Martell leaned in, fascinated. "Binding dragons?" Princess Oberyn Martell asked. Maester Oberyn hesitated. "Binding men," Maester Oberyn whispered. "Binding blood. Binding fire." Valyria Sand was not there, but Oberyn Martell heard her voice in his mind. "Not ever." He closed the book slowly. "We do not need chains," Oberyn Martell said lightly, as if the words cost him nothing. Princess Oberyn Martell's gaze sharpened on him. "You lie badly," Princess Oberyn Martell said softly. Oberyn Martell's smile widened. "I lie beautifully," Oberyn Martell corrected. Maester Oberyn swallowed. "Prince Oberyn Martell," Maester Oberyn said. "If this knowledge exists in Sunspear, then someone before us considered dragons." Princess Oberyn Martell's eyes flashed. "Or someone feared them," Princess Oberyn Martell murmured. Oberyn Martell set the red leather book aside and reached for another scroll, one showing a rough account of Summerhall, the tragedy whispered about in Westeros. Fire meant to hatch eggs and death instead. He traced the line where the ink had bled, as if the page itself had been burned. "Fire can be foolish," Oberyn Martell murmured, "but it can also be faithful." "It does. What it is?" Princess Oberyn Martell's voice was soft. "And what are we?" Oberyn Martell looked at her, then at Maester Oberyn. "We are men and women with scars," Oberyn Martell said, "and we are about to invite dragons into our home. So we must be very careful what we ask for." Maester Oberyn's fingers twisted together. "Then we should begin with heat," Maester Oberyn said quickly. "Simple heat. No blood. No binding." Oberyn Martell's smile returned. "Faint. For now," Oberyn Martell said. Princess Oberyn Martell rose. "Then let us stop reading about fire and go make it," Princess Oberyn Martell said, and the impatience in her voice was almost a prayer. Oberyn Martell took another sip of spiced wine and followed, the red leather book heavy in his thoughts like a stone he could not throw away. Heat in a hidden place was a strange kind of treason. Maester Oberyn built the nest with care, brick and iron and charcoal arranged like an altar. The coals glowed sullenly within their ring, a low red that breathed as air passed over it. The saltcellar's cold fought the warmth, but the coals held on, stubborn. Oberyn Martell knelt beside the table, his coat discarded, sleeves rolled, bandage still on his palm. Valyria Sand knelt beside him, her hair pulled back, her face drawn with focus. Princess Oberyn Martell hovered close, restless as a hawk, hands clasped as if she might crush her own fingers. Ariohota stood at the door with his long axe, unmoving. 2 guards waited beyond, silent. The iron key hung at Ariohota's belt, heavy and final. Maester Oberyn adjusted the coals and looked up, eyes too bright. "Not too close," Maester Oberyn said quickly. "If the shell cracks from heat alone, then it cracks," Princess Oberyn Martell snapped. Maester Oberyn flinched. "It must crack the right way," Maester Oberyn insisted, voice trembling with authority borrowed from fear. "Not explode, not cook what is inside." Oberyn Martell lifted the red-black egg and held it for a moment, feeling its weight and faint warmth. He imagined what lay inside. Scaled body curled tight, tiny claws, a mouth built for fire. He imagined that mouth opening for the first time. His grin was thin. "You have never hatched a dragon," Oberyn Martell said to Maester Oberyn. Maester Oberyn's laugh was brittle. "Neither have you," Maester Oberyn replied. Oberyn Martell's eyes flashed. "I have hatched worse," Oberyn Martell murmured, and Valyria Sand shot him a look that told him not to make jokes now. Together, they lowered the egg into the nest, settling it on a bed of warm sand Maester Oberyn had heated and poured in. The egg rested, the red-black veins catching coal light as if alive. Valyria Sand placed the pale egg near it, further from the coals, as Maester Oberyn directed. Maester Oberyn himself set the dark egg last. hands shaking as he adjusted it as if it might roll away. They waited. Minutes passed. The cellar's air warmed slightly. Sweat beaded on Maester Oberyn's brow. Princess Oberyn Martell's impatience was almost audible. Valyria Sand's gaze never left the eggs. Oberyn Martell watched the coals breathe. He listened to the trickle of water in the channel. He listened for footsteps beyond the door. Nothing happened. Princess Oberyn Martell let out a harsh breath. "This is pointless," Princess Oberyn Martell muttered. "They are stones." Oberyn Martell's eyes did not leave the eggs. "Stones do not make the air feel like this," Oberyn Martell said. Valyria Sand nodded slightly. "It is heavy," Valyria Sand whispered. "Like a storm." Maester Oberyn swallowed. "Yes," Maester Oberyn said. "Like a storm." The candle flames in the cellar's wall niches flickered, though there was no wind. Their light trembled on the eggshells, making the patterns dance. Oberyn Martell leaned closer and placed his bandaged hand near the red-black egg, hovering just above it. Heat rose, faint, but more distinct than before. He could feel it in his skin. "It is warmer," Oberyn Martell murmured. Maester Oberyn's eyes widened, hope and fear mingling. Then perhaps. Princess Oberyn Martell leaned in as well, her face inches from the shell. "Do you hear anything?" Princess Oberyn Martell whispered. Oberyn Martell held still, listening. At first, he heard only his own breath and the soft crackle of coals. Then, faintly, a sound like a tiny click, so small it could have been a coal shifting. Valyria Sand's eyes snapped to him. "What?" Valyria Sand asked. Oberyn Martell's smile widened slowly. "Something," Oberyn Martell said. Maester Oberyn's hands flew to his mouth. "7 save." "Do not," Oberyn Martell said sharply. Maester Oberyn froze, embarrassed. "Sorry," Maester Oberyn whispered. "Habit." The sound came again, slightly louder. A delicate tapping, as if something inside the egg tested the shell with a claw. Princess Oberyn Martell's mouth opened in a silent gasp. Tears sprang unexpectedly to her eyes, bright in torchlight. "Oh," Princess Oberyn Martell whispered, and for the first time her bravado fell away, replaced by awe. Valyria Sand's hand found Oberyn Martell's wrist, grounding him. "Do not touch," Valyria Sand whispered. "Do not frighten it." Oberyn Martell's eyes gleamed, but he kept his hand still. The tapping stopped. They waited, breath held. Nothing else came. Minutes passed again. The coals crackled. The eggs sat silent as if mocking them. Princess Oberyn Martell's face tightened, disappointment flaring. "It stopped." Maester Oberyn nodded, swallowing. "Perhaps it was only heat settling," Maester Oberyn whispered, though his eyes did not believe his own words. Oberyn Martell's voice was low. "No," Oberyn Martell said. "It was life." Valyria Sand's fingers tightened. "Or something pretending to be life," Valyria Sand murmured. Oberyn Martell looked at her, and for a moment his expression was softer. "Even if it is," Oberyn Martell said quietly, "we will learn." Hoda shifted slightly at the door, and the small movement drew all their attention. His gaze was fixed on the corridor beyond, his body tense. "What?" Oberyn Martell asked. Hoda's voice was low. "Footsteps," Hoda said. Princess Oberyn Martell stiffened. Maester Oberyn's face went pale again. Valyria Sand's hand slid toward her dagger. The footsteps came closer, then stopped outside the iron-banded door. A soft voice called, muffled through stone. "My prince?" A message. Prince Oberyn Martell's voice came faintly from the corridor beyond, calm as ever. "Bring it." Hoda's jaw tightened. "No one enters," Hoda said, and his voice was not to the messenger but to the air itself. The message slid under the door, a folded scrap of parchment. Oberyn Martell took it and broke the seal. His eyes SCA. Ned the words. His smile returned, slow and sharp. "What?" Princess Oberyn Martell demanded. Oberyn Martell looked up, eyes bright with dangerous delight. "King's Landing invites Dorne to a wedding," Oberyn Martell said softly. Ilaria Sand's face went still. Whose wedding? Ilaria Sand asked, though she already knew. Oberyn Martell's grin widened. Joffrey Baratheon, Oberyn Martell said. To Marjorie Tyrell. Princess Arianne Martell's breath caught. Maester Oren whispered, That is far. Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to the eggs. Not far enough, Oberyn Martell murmured. The coals crackled louder for a moment, as if laughing. Prince Doran Martell did not raise his voice. He did not need to. He read the invitation aloud in a calm tone, letting every word land like a coin on stone. The letter was polite, lavish, even. It spoke of unity, of honoring old alliances, of the crown's desire to see Dorne represented at the marriage of King Joffrey Baratheon and Marjorie Tyrell. It made no mention of Elia Martell. It made no mention of screams in a red tower. It made no mention of a babe's skull and a mother's blood. Politeness was the greatest insult. When he finished, Prince Doran Martell set the letter down carefully on a table. Sunlight filtered through the lattice, painting faint patterns across his hands. Outside, orange blossoms perfumed the air, mocking the bitterness inside. We will not go, Prince Doran Martell said. Oberyn Martell smiled. We will, Oberyn Martell said. Prince Doran Martell's gaze lifted, steady. We will not, Prince Doran Martell repeated. Princess Arianne Martell's eyes moved between them, hungry and anxious. She had seen this dance before, her father's caution against her uncle's appetite, but never with stakes like this. Oberyn Martell folded his arms. They summon us, Oberyn Martell said lightly. They wave a ribbon and expect Dorne to come wagging like a dog. Prince Doran Martell's voice remained calm. Or they wave a ribbon and expect a snake to bite, Prince Doran Martell replied. King's Landing is a pit, Oberyn Martell. They do not invite you for honor. They invite you to keep you close where they can watch you. Oberyn Martell's grin sharpened. Let them watch, Oberyn Martell said. Ilaria Sand's face tightened. Oberyn Martell, Ilaria Sand murmured, warning. Oberyn Martell glanced at her, then back to his brother. They killed Elia Martell, Oberyn Martell said, and his voice had no humor now. They raped her. They murdered her children. They laughed. And you would have us sit in Sunspear and sip summer wine while their golden boy marries under banners of roses. Prince Doran Martell's eyes did not flinch. I would have us live, Prince Doran Martell said. I would have us survive long enough to do what must be done. Oberyn Martell's jaw tightened. I have waited, Oberyn Martell said, and the words came out like poison. I have watched you wait. I have watched you weigh and measure and delay until delay became a religion. And still the lions sit on their throne. Prince Doran Martell's voice was soft. And still you live, Prince Doran Martell said, because I have kept you alive with patience when your temper would have killed you. Oberyn Martell's eyes flashed. My temper is the only honest thing in this world. Princess Arianne Martell stepped forward, unable to stay silent. Father, Princess Arianne Martell said, if we do not go, what does it look like? Prince Doran Martell's gaze turned to her, gentler. It looks like caution, Prince Doran Martell said. It looks like Dorne refusing to be pulled into their games. Princess Arianne Martell's eyes narrowed. It looks like fear, Princess Arianne Martell said, and she hated herself for the truth in the words. Prince Doran Martell's mouth tightened, but he did not rebuke her. Fear is sometimes wisdom, Prince Doran Martell said. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, dangerous. And sometimes it is rot, Oberyn Martell replied. Areo Hoda shifted, the long axe but scraping lightly against stone. The sound was small, but it carried weight, a reminder that Areo Hoda was not here to argue philosophy. He was here to enforce decisions. Prince Doran Martell's gaze returned to Oberyn Martell. If you go, Prince Doran Martell said, you go into a den of lions. You will be watched by men who know your name and your reputation and your desires. You will be provoked. You will be tested. And if you fail, if you lose control, Dorne will pay. Oberyn Martell's eyes glittered. Then I will not fail, Oberyn Martell said. Ilaria Sand's voice was quiet. You are not as invincible as you pretend, Ilaria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's smile softened for a heartbeat. No, Oberyn Martell admitted, but I am stubborn. Prince Doran Martell leaned back slightly, his hands resting on the arms of his chair. In the sunlight, he looked every bit the patient prince the realm thought him. Only those who knew him could see the iron beneath. You will not go, Prince Doran Martell said again, and this time there was more than request in it. Oberyn Martell stared at his brother. For a long moment, the room held silence tight as a drawn bow. Then Oberyn Martell's smile widened, slow and bright. I will go, Oberyn Martell said softly, because they want me not to, because they fear what I might say in their court, because I will look into Tywin Lannister's face and remind him that Dorne remembers. Prince Doran Martell's eyes narrowed. Do you understand what you risk? Oberyn Martell's smile did not move. Yes, Oberyn Martell said. I risk my life. Prince Doran Martell's voice was very quiet. And ours. Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to Princess Arianne Martell, to Ilaria Sand, to Ario Hodoa's impassive face. Then give me permission, Oberyn Martell said, voice almost gentle. Let it be Dorne's choice, not my rebellion. Prince Doran Martell held his gaze, and in it there was love and exasperation and an old grief that never left. At last, Prince Doran Martell exhaled. If you go, Prince Doran Martell said, you go as our voice, not as your vengeance. Oberyn Martell laughed softly. Those are the same, Oberyn Martell murmured. Prince Doran Martell's eyes sharpened. No, Prince Doran Martell said. They are not. Oberyn Martell's grin faded slightly, and for a moment he looked almost serious. Then teach me, Oberyn Martell said. Teach me how to be your voice and still taste blood. Prince Doran Martell's mouth tightened. You cannot taste blood in King's Landing and expect not to be bitten. Oberyn Martell's eyes gleamed. Then I will bite first, Oberyn Martell said. Ilaria Sand's hand found Oberyn Martell's again, and her grip was not gentle. If you go, Ilaria Sand whispered, you do not go alone. Prince Doran Martell's gaze flicked to her. No, Prince Doran Martell said, voice firm. Ilaria Sand stays. Sunspear needs her steadier than King's Landing needs another scandal. Ilaria Sand's face tightened, but she did not argue, not yet. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, and it was the smile of a man already walking the road. Then send me, Oberyn Martell said, and send me with a gift. Prince Doran Martell's gaze sharpened. What gift? Oberyn Martell's eyes flicked, just for a heartbeat, toward the floor beneath them, toward the salt cellar and the sleeping eggs. Something, Oberyn Martell said softly, that will make the lions choke on their own courage. Prince Doran Martell's face went very still. No, Prince Doran Martell said. Oberyn Martell's smile widened. We will see, Oberyn Martell murmured, and the words were not a threat but a promise. The water gardens were meant for peace. They were built for laughter and fountains and children's bare feet on cool stone. The pools reflected lantern light and the soft blush of sunset. Even the air seemed gentler there, perfumed with orange blossoms and water. Oberyn Martell did not come for peace. He came because he needed to see his daughters before he walked into a place where smiles hid knives. He came because he did not trust himself not to turn into a weapon without reminding himself what he still loved. Oberyn Sand was in the training yard when he arrived, spear in hand, hair braided tight, arms slick with sweat. She moved with ruthless precision, stabbing at a straw dummy as if it were a man who had wronged her. Each thrust landed where a heart would be. Nymeria Sand watched from the shade of a column, a scroll in her lap, her eyes following Oberyn Sand's movements with the calm attention of someone who preferred words to blows but understood the value of both. Tyene Sand sat on a low wall nearby, dressed in simple white, her smile gentle as a prayer. Her hands rested in her lap, pale and clean. Oberyn Martell knew better than to mistake cleanliness for innocence. Oberyn Sand spotted him first. Her spear halted mid-thrust, and her grin flashed sharp and bright. Father, Obara Sand called, spinning the spear and planting its butt in the sand as if it were a banner. Oberyn Martell spread his arms. Obara Sand, Oberyn Martell said warmly. Still trying to kill straw men? Obara Sand laughed. One day I'll have a real one, Obara Sand said, eyes gleaming. Nymeria Sand rose smoothly, folding her scroll. You look like trouble, Nymeria Sand said. Oberyn Martell smiled. I am always trouble. Tyene Sand slipped from the wall and approached, her smile sweet. She kissed his cheek softly. You smell like smoke, Tyene Sand murmured, and her eyes narrowed as if tasting something in the air around him. Oberyn Martell's smile did not falter.
Doi.
Oberyn Martell said lightly, perhaps I have been too close to stories. Obara Sand snorted. You've been too close to something, Obara Sand said. Everyone is whispering. The guards look like they swallowed knives. Ariohoda is everywhere. She leaned in, spear forgotten. What did you do, father? Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to the pools, to the children splashing in the far distance, to the innocents that did not belong in the same world as dragons. He chose his words carefully, not because he feared his daughters, but because he feared the way their loyalty could become wildfire. I did something, Oberyn Martell said. Something that will change things. Nymeria Sand's eyes sharpened. Change things how? Nymeria Sand asked, voice calm. Oberyn Martell's smile was thin. In our favor, Oberyn Martell said. Tyene Sand tilted her head. And Father Dorne Martell approves? Tyene Sand asked, voice soft. Oberyn Martell laughed quietly. Father Dorne Martell rarely approves, Oberyn Martell said. He tolerates. He plans. He survives. Obara Sand's grin sharpened. You're going to King's Landing, Obara Sand said suddenly, and it was not a question. Oberyn Martell's eyebrows lifted. And what makes you say that? Obara Sand's eyes glittered. Because you always go where the blood is, Obara Sand said. And because when you're about to do something reckless, you come here first. Nymeria Sand's gaze narrowed. There is a wedding, Nymeria Sand said, as if reading a letter invisible in the air. Joffrey Baratheon and Marjorie Tyrell. Oberyn Martell's smile widened. You've been reading Ravens now? Oberyn Martell asked. Nymeria Sand's mouth curved. I read men, Nymeria Sand replied. And you are a page I have memorized. Tyene Sand's smile faded slightly, replaced by something sharper. If you go, Tyene Sand said quietly, they will try to provoke you. Oberyn Martell's eyes gleamed. Let them, Oberyn Martell said. Obara Sand stepped forward, spear in hand again, almost eager. Take me, Obara Sand demanded. Let me see King's Landing. Let me put a spear through a lion. Oberyn Martell's smile softened, and there was affection in it. No, Oberyn Martell said. Obara Sand's face twisted. Why not? Because, Oberyn Martell said, voice low. Your anger is honest, and honesty is easy to kill. Obara Sand bristled. So you'll take Nymeria Sand? Obara Sand snapped. She'll talk them to death. Nymeria Sand's eyes flicked to Oberyn Martell, waiting. Oberyn Martell shook his head. No one comes, Oberyn Martell said. Not yet. Not this time. He glanced at Tyene Sand. Not even Tyene Sand with her sweet hands. Tyene Sand's smile returned. Faint. You mean to go alone, Tyene Sand said. Not alone, Oberyn Martell corrected. I will have my men. And my name. His gaze sharpened. And I will have Dorne watching me, whether it wishes to or not. Nymeria Sand's voice was calm. Why come here then? Nymeria Sand asked. If you won't bring us. Oberyn Martell looked at them, at the 3 different kinds of danger his blood had made. Because I want you ready, Oberyn Martell said. If something happens to me. Obara Sand's eyes flared. It won't, Obara Sand snarled. Oberyn Martell's smile was small. I have been wrong before, Oberyn Martell said. Tyene Sand's eyes softened, and for a moment she looked less like a blade wrapped in silk and more like a daughter. What do you need? Tyene Sand asked. Oberyn Martell's gaze drifted back toward Sunspear's towers, toward the stone beneath which dragon eggs slept. "I need you quiet," Oberyn Martell said. "I need you patient." Obara Sand scoffed. "Patient?" Obara Sand spat, as if it were a curse. Nymeria Sand's mouth tightened. "Patient can mean dead," Nymeria Sand murmured. Oberyn Martell's smile sharpened. "Patient can also mean alive when the knife comes," Oberyn Martell said. Obara Sand's spear tip dug into sand, anger and frustration crackling. Tyene Sand's smile turned thoughtful. Nymeria Sand's gaze remained steady, already calculating. Oberyn Martell stepped closer and kissed each of them. Obara Sand's forehead, Nymeria Sand's cheek, Tyene Sand's temple. 3 blessings, 3 warnings. "Stay close to your uncle," Oberyn Martell said softly. "Listen to Ario Hoda. Watch the shadows. And if you hear a story about dragons..." He paused, letting the word hang like smoke. "Do not repeat it." Obara Sand's eyes widened slightly. Nymeria Sand's expression sharpened into something like awe. Tyene Sand's smile returned, slow and knowing. "You brought something back," Tyene Sand whispered. Oberyn Martell did not answer. He only smiled, and in his smile was a promise as bright as fire and as dangerous. When he walked away, the lanterns in the pools flickered in the dusk, and the water garden's peace felt like a thin veil over a deeper heat. Sunspear's servants learned early where not to look. They learned which doors belonged to princes and which belonged to guards. They learned which corridors were for carrying food and which were for carrying silence. They learned to lower their eyes when Ario Hoda passed, because the captain's stillness did not invite familiarity. But servants were human, and humans were curious. Curiosity was the oldest sin, older than any faith. The servant girl's name was Janessa, and she had been born in the shadow of Sunspear's walls. She had carried linens and chamber pots and trays of honey cakes through corridors so long they felt like veins. She had heard whispers all her life, some about politics, some about lovers, some about poison, some about wars far away. In recent days, the whispers had changed. Men with spears stood in places they did not usually stand. Doors were locked that were usually open. The air in certain corridors felt strangely warm at odd hours, as if heat rose from stone itself. Servants muttered about it at the kitchens, eyes darting. Janessa did not mean to do anything foolish. She told herself that as she walked the lower corridor with a basket of linens on her hip. She told herself she only wanted to understand why Ario Hoda's men guarded an iron-banded door no servant had ever been allowed near. When she reached the corner, she slowed. 2 guards stood there, spears in hand, their faces impassive. Their eyes swept over Janessa without interest. They had been told to watch for threats, not for girls with linens. Janessa kept walking, heart hammering, basket heavy. She passed the door, the iron bands thick, the lock newly oiled. She smelled salt and damp stone beneath the torch smoke. And something else. Warmth. A faint red glow seeped under the door, barely visible, as if a coal burned on the other side. Janessa's breath caught. She slowed again. What was behind it? A forge? A secret bath? Treasure? Her mind flashed with stories. Prince Oberyn Martell returning from far places, bringing gifts, bringing danger. She had never seen him close, but she had seen his shadow, his smile from a distance, and she had heard the way men spoke his name with fear and admiration. She stopped. One guard shifted, glancing toward her. "Keep moving," he said, bored rather than threatening. Janessa nodded quickly. "Yes," Janessa murmured, and took another step, but the warmth under the door felt like a hand beckoning. Curiosity tugged at her like a hook in the belly. She leaned slightly, just enough to peer down. The red glow pulsed faintly, brighter for a heartbeat, then dimmer, as if something inside breathed. Janessa swallowed hard, throat suddenly dry. She lowered her basket slowly, the linens rustling. Her hand drifted toward the crack beneath the door. The guard's voice snapped, sharper now. "Girl." Janessa froze, fingers hovering. Behind her, at the far end of the corridor, a shadow shifted. A figure in a hooded cloak stood half-hidden, watching. Janessa did not see it. The guards did not see it. Only the darkness saw itself. Janessa drew back quickly and lifted her basket again. "Sorry," Janessa whispered, cheeks burning. The guard's gaze lingered on her for a moment. Then he looked away, satisfied that he had done his duty. Janessa hurried on, heart pounding. She told herself she was foolish. She told herself she would forget. But as she turned the next corner, the warmth lingered on her skin as if it had touched her through stone. That night, long after the kitchens went quiet and the servants' quarters settled into sleep, Janessa woke with a gasp. Her eyes burned. She stumbled out of bed, hands clawing at her face, desperate to rub away the pain. Her fingers came away damp. Not blood, something else. Her vision blurred. She tried to scream, but the sound caught in her throat as heat rose inside her skull, searing, merciless. The world turned red, then white. When the other servants found her in the morning, she lay on the floor like a doll dropped by a careless child. Her face was calm, almost peaceful, as if she had fallen asleep. Her eyes, however, were burned white. No blade had touched her. No poison bottle lay nearby. No marks of struggle marred her skin. Only a faint smell of smoke clung to her hair. And in the lower corridor, beyond an iron-banded door, the red glow pulsed once, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. Prince Oberyn Martell did not often leave his chambers at dawn. When he did, it was for war. The corridor was dim, torches sputtering softly as if uneasy. Servants clustered at a distance, faces pale, whispering into their sleeves. Areo Hodoa's men held them back, spears a quiet wall. Janessa's body lay on the stone floor, wrapped in a sheet. When Oberyn Martell pulled the corner back, her face looked peaceful. That was the horror of it. Death had not twisted her mouth or clenched her hands. It had simply taken her, leaving her like a statue. Her eyes were white. Ilaria Sand's hand flew to her mouth. For a heartbeat, she looked like she might be sick. Then she swallowed hard, forcing herself steady. "No poison," Ilaria Sand whispered, and her voice was brittle. Oberyn Martell's gaze was fixed on the eyes. He had seen poison kill in countless ways. Foam, blood, convulsions, sleep. This was not any of those. It was something else. Something that did not need a vial. Maester Oren hovered behind them, clutching a small lamp. His hands shook so badly the light wobbled. "I told you," Maester Oren whispered. "Fire wakes blood. Blood wakes." "Quiet," Oberyn Martell snapped. Prince Oberyn Martell arrived with Areo Hoda at his side. He had insisted on coming, and Areo Hoda had obeyed, supporting him by the elbow as the prince put weight on legs that did not want it. The effort carved lines into Prince Oberyn Martell's face, but his eyes were sharp and furious. He looked at the body. A muscle in his jaw worked once. "Her name?" Prince Oberyn Martell asked, voice tight. "A kitchen girl," one of the servants whispered from the crowd. "Janessa." Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze did not leave the dead girl. "Did she have family?" Prince Oberyn Martell asked. "She had a mother," the servant murmured. "In the kitchens." Prince Oberyn Martell closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, the grief had become something harder. "Find her mother," Prince Oberyn Martell said. "Tell her she will be cared for." The servant nodded, tears in her eyes. Princess Arian Martell stepped closer, face pale. "Father," Princess Arian Martell whispered. "What is this?" Prince Oberyn Martell's gaze lifted to the iron-banded door down the corridor, where two guards stood rigid. The door looked harmless. It was not. "It is what happens," Prince Oberyn Martell said quietly. "When the things we hide grow teeth." Ilaria Sand's eyes flicked toward the door as well. "She came near it," Ilaria Sand whispered, certainty in her voice. One of Areo Hodoa's men shifted uncomfortably. "She was seen," the guard admitted. "She slowed. She looked." Oberyn Martell's hands curled into fists. "You let her walk away," Oberyn Martell said, voice low. The guard swallowed. "She was a servant," the guard said helplessly. She did not know. Oberyn Martell's eyes were cold. Now she knows, Oberyn Martell murmured, and the bitterness in the words was sharp. Maester Oren's voice shook. It could be protection, Maester Oren whispered. Old wards, Valyrian wards. They react to. Stop, Prince Dorne Martell said, and his voice snapped like a whip. Maester Oren flinched into silence. Prince Dorne Martell's gaze turned to Oberyn Martell, and now the fury beneath his composure was visible. This is why I asked you, Prince Dorne Martell said, voice low. This is why I asked you what else you brought. Ellaria Sand's eyes went to Oberyn Martell's face. A silent plea. Tell him. Do not let this grow. Oberyn Martell's smile was gone. He looked at the dead girl again, at her burned eyes, and something in him tightened, not with regret. Oberyn Martell was not a man made of regret, but with recognition of consequence. I did not touch the eggs, Oberyn Martell said slowly, and it was true. Not like that. Prince Dorne Martell's gaze sharpened. Not like what? Oberyn Martell hesitated. Ellaria Sand stepped in before he could lie again. There is a shard, Ellaria Sand said, voice steady. A Valyrian relic. Oberyn Martell brought it back. The corridor went still. Princess Arianne Martell's eyes widened, shock and fascination colliding. Maester Oren's mouth opened in a soundless gasp. Prince Dorne Martell's face went pale, then hard. Oberyn Martell, Prince Dorne Martell said, and his voice held warning like steel. Oberyn Martell's jaw tightened. He looked at Ellaria Sand, and for a heartbeat there was anger there, anger at being exposed. Then it faded into something like surrender. He had been caught, not by spies, not by enemies, but by the woman who loved him enough to wound him. Yes, Oberyn Martell said quietly. There is a shard. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes did not blink. Where? Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to the iron-banded door again, to the heat beneath it, to the eggs. Hidden, Oberyn Martell said. Prince Dorne Martell's voice was very calm. Bring it to me. Oberyn Martell smiled without humor. So you can bury it. So I can decide. Prince Dorne Martell corrected, and the words were a knife. You have decided enough for all of us. Oberyn Martell held his brother's gaze. In it he saw the old fracture between them, the one made by Elia Martell's death, by years of waiting, by two different kinds of love for Dorne. Prince Dorne Martell loved Dorne like a father loves a child. Protective, cautious, willing to endure insult for safety. Oberyn Martell loved Dorne like a lover loves. Fierce, jealous, willing to bleed for pride. Oberyn Martell exhaled slowly. After the body is taken, Oberyn Martell said. Not here. Prince Dorne Martell's eyes narrowed. Now, Ario Hodor's grip on the long axe tightened, a subtle shift that meant the captain was ready to enforce the prince's will. Ellaria Sand's hand touched Oberyn Martell's arm, gentle but firm. Now, Ellaria Sand echoed softly. Oberyn Martell looked down at Janessa's burned eyes, and something in his face tightened. He nodded once. Now, Oberyn Martell said. They left the body to the servants and their grief and walked down the corridor toward Oberyn Martell's chamber, the air behind them smelling faintly of smoke that should not have been there at dawn. As they walked, Princess Arianne Martell fell into step beside Oberyn Martell, eyes glittering. You brought back chains, Princess Arianne Martell murmured, voice low. Oberyn Martell's smile returned, thin. I brought back possibility, Oberyn Martell said. Princess Arianne Martell's gaze sharpened. Possibility kills kitchen girls, Princess Arianne Martell whispered. Oberyn Martell's smile did not fade. So do kings, Oberyn Martell said quietly. And somewhere beneath Sunspear, in a salt cellar locked behind iron, 3 eggs warmed in the dark as if listening to every footstep above. The salt cellar was supposed to be sealed. It was supposed to be locked behind Ario Hodor's key and guarded by men who did not sleep. It was supposed to be a tomb for secrets, untouched by curious hands. But Oberyn Martell had always been a man who found ways into locked places. He came alone, long after the servants had been sent away from Janessa's body and Prince Oberyn Martell had retreated to his chambers with fury wrapped in composure. He came after Valyria Sand had tried to argue with him and then realized argument would not stop hunger. He came after Princess Oberyn Martell had gone quiet, which worried him more than her anger ever did. Ariohoda's men at the door saw him approach and stepped aside without question, because Ariohoda had told them to obey the blood of the prince as well as the prince's commands, and because Oberyn Martell's name could make men forget their own. Inside, the salt cellar was warmer than it had been. The coals still glowed in their brick ring, dim and stubborn. The eggs sat near them, silent, as if asleep. Oberyn Martell set the cloth bundle on the side table and unwrapped the shard. It smoked faintly, its cracked heart glowing like a buried ember. The air above it shimmered. The candle flames in the niches leaned toward it as if drawn. Oberyn Martell's bandaged palm throbbed, itching with remembered heat. He could feel the shards pull in his blood, subtle and persistent. It did not speak in words. It spoke in sensation, the urge to reach, to touch, to command. In the doorway, Valyria Sand appeared, as if summoned by his guilt. She did not enter. She stood with the doorframe holding her up, her face pale, her eyes wet, her mouth tight. "I told Oberyn Martell," Valyria Sand said softly. Oberyn Martell did not look up. "I know," Oberyn Martell replied. Valyria Sand's voice shook. "He will bury it," Valyria Sand whispered. Oberyn Martell smiled without humor. "He will try," Oberyn Martell murmured. Valyria Sand's hand tightened on the doorframe. "Oberyn Martell," Valyria Sand said, and there was pleading in the name. "That girl died." Oberyn Martell's gaze flicked to the eggs. "I know," Oberyn Martell said, and his voice was quiet. Valyria Sand stepped closer and whispered, "Then stop." Oberyn Martell's smile sharpened, not at her but at himself. "Stop," Oberyn Martell echoed softly. "And do what? Wait. Let the world come for us while we keep our hands clean." Valyria Sand's eyes flashed. "Clean hands are still hands," Valyria Sand said fiercely. "They can hold children. They can hold peace. They can hold a life that is not built on fire." Oberyn Martell's jaw tightened. He wanted to laugh. He wanted to kiss her. He wanted to scream. Instead, he knelt by the coals and leaned closer to the red-black egg. The shell looked different now. Not cracked, not broken, but damp. A single dark bead of moisture clung to it, trembling. It slid slowly down the shell's veined surface like a tear. Oberyn Martell's breath caught. He reached out, fingers hovering above the bead. Heat rose, stronger now. The egg was warmer than it had been, the warmth steady, alive. Valyria Sand whispered, "It's waking." Oberyn Martell's smile returned, and this time it was not triumph but awe. "Yes," Oberyn Martell murmured. "It is." He glanced toward the shard on the table. The ember glow in its cracks pulsed, faint but insistent, as if answering the egg's heat. The air between shard and egg felt charged, thick as syrup. Maester Oren's words echoed in his mind. "Blood wakes stone. Fire wakes blood." Oberyn Martell's fingers flexed. He could feel the bandage shift, the wound beneath it still tender. He imagined stripping it off, letting blood fall onto the egg's shell again. He imagined holding the shard near it, coaxing it, commanding it. He imagined the egg cracking open, a hiss of hot air, a tiny dragon crawling into his hands. Valyria Sand's voice was a whisper. "Don't," Valyria Sand said. Oberyn Martell's eyes closed briefly. He breathed in, slow, forcing restraint into his lungs like medicine. When he opened his eyes, he looked at Valyria Sand. In the dim light, she looked like someone at the edge of a cliff, watching the man she loved step closer to the drop. Fear made her eyes bright. Love made her stay. "I will go to King's Landing," Oberyn Martell said suddenly, voice low. Valyria Sand's mouth tightened. "I know," Valyria Sand whispered. "I will take one egg," Oberyn Martell said, and the words landed heavy. Valyria Sand's eyes widened, shock flaring into anger.
No, Ellaria Sandhist. No.
That is madness. Oberyn Martell's smile was thin. It is insurance, Oberyn Martell said. If the lions come here, if they send knives to Sunspear, then a dragon's heartbeat will be far from their reach. Valyria Sand stepped forward, finally crossing the invisible line. Her voice shook. You will carry it into a court that will tear you apart, Valyria Sand said. You will carry a secret heavier than stone into a pit full of men who live by secrets. Oberyn Martell's gaze was steady. Then I will carry it carefully, Oberyn Martell replied. Valyria Sand's eyes filled, but she did not let tears fall. And if it hatches there? Valyria Sand whispered. In King's Landing? In the Red Keep? Oberyn Martell's smile flashed, dangerous and bright. Then the world will learn, Oberyn Martell said softly, that Dorne does not only bleed, Dorne burns. Valyria Sand stared at him, grief and fear and love warring across her face. You are going to set the world on fire, Valyria Sand whispered. Oberyn Martell looked back at the eggs, at the bead of sweat glistening on the shell, at the shard smoking like a sin. He did not deny it. Outside the cellar, somewhere in Sunspear's sleeping halls, a raven cried once, harsh and sudden, as if startled by its own voice. Oberyn Martell's bandaged hand hovered above the egg, trembling with restraint. Then he withdrew, slowly, as if pulling away from a lover. Not tonight, Oberyn Martell whispered again, but this time the words felt less like a promise and more like a lie he hoped would hold. The egg sat in the coal's glow, warm and silent, sweating like a living thing, and in the smoke curling from the shard, for a heartbeat, the air seemed to shiver, like the ghost of wings passing through darkness.